Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Monday, June 24th. And we're back.
Full squad's here. The full squad's here.
Booner, Booner's in New York. He'll be back tomorrow. He's itching to get back. He's feeling it. But he's having a good time, though. So he's enjoying his vacation. Gentry's locking into the Stanley Cup. So he's locking into hockey. And so me and Klotz are going to hold it down today. We got a lot to get to. We're going to have Anthony from Pistons Talk join us in the second hour. We're going to get some Pistons later in the show, talk a little bit of Lions. But Lukas, how was your weekend? What's been up with you?
Hey, went to see the fellas this weekend. Saturday night, had a good time. Woke up Sunday feeling a little rough, but good weekend. Had a productive day today. It's fucking goofball at the park. I was telling you about it. So I run. We talk about it a lot. I run. And the park that I run at, it's like a big park, okay? It's a very big park, probably like 5-6 miles total, trails, and then there's a playground. In the playground, there's the parking lot. So I'm like, get out, and I take my shirt off when I run. If that makes me a tool, so be it, but it's hot. It's 85 degrees. I'm about to run like 3-4 miles. I'm taking my fucking shirt off. So I'm sitting there, I'm stretching, and I hear, think it looks cool when you do that, when you got your shirt off? And I'm like, where's this coming from? It's probably like this 5'7". The dude's yoked, probably like 5'7". And I thought he was joking with me. Like he was being like such a dick that I thought he was like just busting my balls. And I was like, yeah, no, my white ass just needs some sun. And he goes, oh, you think that's funny? And I was like looking at him confused. I was like, do we have an issue here? He goes, yeah, you got your shirt off and there's a playground full of kids over there. And I'm like, that's awfully weird for me to look at this situation like this, but okay. And he goes, oh, you think you're tough? And I was like, no, I'm about to go run. And he goes, oh yeah, you run. I was like, you want to run? So this dude, he's like doing the stretches, doing the fucking all like just making like this dude locked in. Like he was wired off of something. And so I'm like, okay. In this park, there's like the first like 3/4 of a mile is just like a downhill path. It's like a nice, easy like jog. And he's probably going like 75%. And I'm just waiting because at the like probably like 9/10 of a mile, there's like a hill that's probably a half mile. And so I'm sitting there and he's talking to me. He's chirping the whole time. He's like, keep up. And I was like, And then we hit this hill, dude. And let me tell you, that hill is fucking I built that hill. That hill was built by Klotz. I went from like 40% to 100 and just left them in the fucking dust. I feel great. The dude made my day. Yeah, sorry. Just had to get that off my chest.
So
mind your own fucking business.
He instigated it and he caught the L.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even stop to talk to him after. I just let him sit with it.
Oh,
walk of shame. Walk of shame.
See, you know what, Klotzy? Those are the best kinds of stories. You don't have to talk. You let the game do the talking. Hey, left him in the dust. Did you look back?
Gave him the deuce.
Oh, okay. Yep. You have to. Like Stephen, we need a Klotzy Hill t-shirt. It just said, I built this hill. It's just you on top of a hill. What a legend, dude. I hope that guy tunes in. Honestly, what a douche. What an absolute douche. Shout out to Shift God. He's up in here as well. Detroit Supremacy. We got Steve, like we put up before, LFG. Tyler, man, we appreciate you guys tuning in to today's show. Like I said, we got a lot, some Lions stuff that's been coming out. Obviously, Lions, we're in the midst of it all. July, August, at least coming July soon. That's when it starts getting, we're really fishing for content here. So, we're coming out with some new creative ideas. And one of those ideas, ladies and gentlemen, is our new t-shirt, which is available, officialctsports.com.
This is my favorite, by far, my favorite merch that we have on the site. And it's not
the one, the only, Logan Gray, QB1. It is available. Well, I mean, look, what are we doing here? I mean, look at the t-shirt. Shout out to Roman, as always, making these great designs. And there you have it. Let's get in depth with this. I mean, you got the Matthew Stafford crying with the cuck hat.
The cuck hat is unreal.
Was the actual quarterback that Joe Cox was the rumored quarterback. He was just caught. It was an allegation. All right. He didn't, he wasn't involved in anything. It was Logan Gray.
Guys, buy this while you can. wear it for week 1 because I'm sure we were just talking about it before we started the show. It's only a matter of time till we get an email before we probably got to take these down. Somebody's going to see it and get angry. So please buy these shirts while you can. If I see somebody like during the broadcast week 1 of the game with one of these shirts on, it'll make my year. So please buy this merch. This is if I was not, even if I didn't know what crunch time was and I saw this on a website, I would buy this 1000%. You can wear this even past the game. Like, come on. This is a great shirt. It's a timeless shirt. It lives on forever. And boo those kids. Boo those kids.
I mean, it's like, you thought Joe Cox was bad. Logan Gray. That's the most like, that's just, by the way, it might be a Logan in the chat. I know some Logans. Great guys. But Logan Gray is like the most, yeah.
It's like generic. It's the most generic name.
Yeah. And Nick says Logan Gray is even worse. Yeah. Well, Logan Gray put in work at Georgia, so we thought we'd give him the, give him his own T-shirt here. And you can get your T-shirt for the Lions home opener, whether you're going or not. Available, again, like I said, officialctsports.com. They are live. So we got to love those.
Get some merch.
Yeah. One of the most anticipated shirts to date. Not anything, not this, not the clock, crunch time clock, which one of my favorite T-shirt. No, none of that. It's the Logan Gray QB1, Georgia's finest. That's the T-shirt you should be looking forward to. Another anticipated, something else though, not a T-shirt, but a scenario. Anticipated scenarios. What Brandon Ayiuk is going to do with the 49ers. And he has met with the 49ers. And I saw Ryan Clark put out something that Jaden Daniels was with him. I guess there was some sort of communication. I don't know. Regardless, he's making it very clear he wants to play with Jaden Daniels, who he's known for a long, long time. So he's very upfront about it. Adam Schefter put it out. 49ers disgruntled wide receiver Brandon Ayiuk is meeting today with the 49ers, as ESPN's Ryan Clark reported on NFL Live. It's happening. I think the Commanders are going to be one of those teams in the market. You look at the connections. We always look at that. It's important in sports relationships. Who's the GM of the Commanders? The man who worked under
Mr. Mayhew,
John Lynch. Yep. Yeah. So there's the connection there. And I think Ayiuk is going to be commander, Lucas. I have a feeling.
I understand for the money, but if I'm Brandon Ayiuk, why? You're on a team that is ready to go to the Super Bowl for the next 3 seasons, in my opinion. And if you go to the Commanders, you get your bag. But I don't really see a situation where in the next couple of years where Brandon Ayuk's on that contract, you're getting to a Super Bowl. So that's just my preference. But if you look at it from the Lions' perspective, we already kind of hinted on it. I don't think the 49ers would be getting any type of star player back. It would be a draft pick. And so when you look at it, it is very good for the Lions because I think San Francisco, the Eagles, and if the Packers hit the ceiling of what people's expectations are, the top 4 teams in the NFC. So when you talk about the Detroit Lions, their secondary is going to be a lot better. You expect Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell to take another step, Aiden Hutchinson, and Aleem McNeil with the addition of DJ Reader. You expect the whole unit defensively to take a step up. And if one of the 49ers, honestly, at least in the receiving game, the 49ers' most dynamic wide receiver is now gone, you have to replace him with A, Juwan Jennings, who I really like, or B, Ricky Pearsall, who you also know I really like. But there's levels to this football game, and Brandon Aiyuk right now is playing at his highest level. And I don't think either Juwan Jennings or Ricky, at least in his rookie season, are that. So it's very favorable for the Lions, and it's something that with Aaron Glenn, who runs a lot of man-to-man defense, I think can take advantage of and make Brock Purdy uncomfortable. You talk about, week 17 the Lions play the 49ers. That game could be for the 1 seed in the NFC. So if there's no Brandon Aiyuk, that favors the Lions a lot more, especially the fact that they're on the road again.
I don't want to be that guy to one move, all of a sudden just go at the 49ers. But Lucas, I'm getting to this point where we can't understate how valuable Brandon Aiyuk is to this team. Oh, sorry, put the light out of the camera here. We can't understate how valuable Brandon Aiyuk is. And I'm going to be honest, although I don't hate them trading away Brandon Aiyuk because I'm trying to look at it from John Lynch's perspective. I wouldn't give Brandon that much money either because of the team I currently have and the coach I have as well. And he's going to find a way to, get the best out of all your offensive players. So I understand it, but we can't act like this doesn't matter to Brock Purdy either. Like this is going to matter a lot. Debo's unavailability has been real the last couple of years. And you look beside him, like you just laid out perfectly, Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. unless you have Ricky coming out and having a Puka Nacua-esque year one, or at least
a
a 1,000-yard guy, I don't know. I can see some regression. I can see them still a double-digit win team, but I don't know if they're going to be as dominant as they were last year. Because remember, early on in the year, they were beating teams easily. And now they're going to have a little tougher schedule. I think the Rams are going to be a big player in that division. I think the Rams will, as Matthew stays healthy, of course, even though he's got the Cuck hat and the merch we just put up on the field. I think the Rams can be serious competitors with the 49ers up until late in the season. I could see a game or two, maybe 2-game difference between the two teams. Like if you have the Rams at 11 wins, man, I think the 49ers could be like 11-12. Maybe 12 would be like a more realistic. But I don't think they're going to win 13, 14 games. If the Lions win 13 games, I think they get the 1 seed. The Eagles are the only team I think you're looking at like, okay, what are they going to look like? But new staff, that's also kind of a wild card as well. I think they'll be good, but man, 1 seed right away after changing staff, offensive and defensive coordinator. I like the Lions' chances, man. Even better now without Ayiuk. It's hard not to.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers, I think, given with Kyle Shanahan's system, big plays are still going to happen. But you just talked about with the inability with Deebo Samuel to be able to stay healthy. George Kittle even has some injury woes. And then we talked about last week, Christian McCaffrey, this was the first full season really where he stayed healthy, and he probably took the most workload he ever has in a season. So can he stay healthy? You don't know about that. But as far as just pushing the ball down the field, that was a huge part of this 49ers offense. And Brandon Aiyuk did it both with Yak and without Yak. Like he could do it all. And now that element's missing. So this is going to be a team that's going to have to rely heavy on play action. And at the end of the day, I think the Lions, if Brandon Aiyuk leaves, I think they jump the 49ers with total offense. With Aiyuk there, I give it to the Niners. But you talk about the Lions' offensive line compared to, okay, now the 49ers with no Brandon Aiyuk, and you have Amon-Ra St. Brown's, Jameson Williams can take another step. I think there's levels there. I still give the 49ers a defensive advantage, but if they lose Aiyuk, Lions have the clear offense advantage.
And we bring up this point with JMO all the time with how defenses, they'll change what they're doing based on if JMO's on the field. Not just him, but you have Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta. I'm not just saying just JMO with his speed. You have to make adjustments. Safeties have to be on point because of what he can do, his game-breaking speed. I think that's similar, not the same player, but his impact is Brandon Aiyuk. It's the same thing with Amon-Ra. When he's on the field, things change. Defenses shift. Defenses are now understanding Brandon Ayuk's on the field. With him not on the field, not saying you just sit back and, drink a cocktail and hang out and be like, oh, we got this, boys. But it does, like, who's playing outside receiver for him? Who's that X for him? And Debo's not really that. Isn't Debo more of a slot? He plays more in the slot.
Debo at this point in his career out wide, he's not stretching the field vertically. He's not burning anybody. They just have to play a physical brand of football. Because same thing with Jawan. Like Jawan's just a crafty guy that's very physical and just knows how to manipulate leverage and get open. Debo at this point, he just got to rely on running people over and staying healthy. George Kittle, he's the guy that's going to be the focal point of this 49ers receiving game. And if you look at it, again, we just match it up with the teams in the higher part of the NFC. The Packers got Xavier McKinney. The Lions have Brian Branch. And the Eagles, they just got CJ Gardner-Johnson back. Say what you want about him, but he's went up against Kittle a couple of times. He knows what that's all about. And they just improved their secondary as a whole and their linebackers as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they try to attack these teams.
Yeah, and I guess also you're looking at it like, okay, you're losing a number one wide receiver. You're going to depend more on the run game and more of a physical brand of football, which Christian McCaffrey, best running back in the league, and there's a gap there.
Yeah,
but he's shown in the past he can miss half a season very easily. Like he's the Madden cover athlete, which there are bad luck that comes with that. Just stating that.
And not to mention Trent Williams, like great offensive tackle, but there's only so much longer that he's going to be playing at his highest level and staying healthy as well, just given the age. So if he takes a step back or if he misses a couple of games, you saw what happened when he left against Cleveland. I know it was Jake Moody missing an extra point or field goal to lose the game, but that team, you talk about looking different with possibly Brandon Aiyuk missing. If they lose Trent Williams for a couple of games, that could be a very scary situation for that team.
Agreed. Agreed. I see. I'm just looking at some of these comments here. Let me see here. Tyler says he knows San Francisco spreads the ball around, and if he stays, his numbers won't warrant a $30 million deal. I mean, they're not willing to pay him, which again, I don't blame it. I don't blame Brandon either, because Tyler puts, I don't really blame dude for wanting out and getting paid and to get that respect. You're not going to put up numbers, at least probably in his mind, in San Francisco. I don't know. Like if you're talking like 1,600, 1,700, if he wants that, They got weapons. He ain't getting that type of.
I wonder what they're gonna like, because I was thinking like they better keep their fucking hands away from T. Higgins. But if they're not willing to pay Brandon Ayiuk, are they gonna be willing to pay a guy like T. Higgins? I don't know. So it's gonna be interesting, especially with John Lynch. He'll go out and he'll get a big name. Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, both those guys through trade. So he'll go out and get somebody if he needs to. Chase Young. So I would watch, especially when training camp cuts are coming and then just offseason cuts in general, and teams are moving around rosters. The 49ers are a team that I definitely expect to make a move, at least in the wide receiver room, if they move off Ayiuk.
Your boy Ricky, he better live up to expectations.
I have no worry, but that's like we talk about all the time with like the Lions, where it's just like there's so many guys in the slot, nobody can stretch the field vertically. There's not really an X. Well, that's going to be the 49ers situation. Juwan Jennings is a guy that they like to use a lot in the slot. Debo Samuel pretty much has to stay in the slot. And same with Ricky. He's not an X by any means. He's a great route runner. He's quick and he is fast, but he's not somebody that you put up against a corner and say, hey, Ricky, go get one. Like, no, that's not his game. Like, he's very good at other things, but not that. So maybe Ronnie Bell, the Michigan Wolverine, the fine Michigan Wolverine
made some plays. I mean, Nick says maybe the Rams to compete with the 40, maybe they need Logan Gray.
Maybe.
That would turn Matt would demon mode if they brought
Jimmy Garoppolo would be gone.
Yeah. Actually, they porn star Jimmy.
Yeah, think about that. Kelly's definitely eyeing up Jimmy. Matthew's got to watch his back.
I didn't even think about that. Maybe that's it. You know what? If I'm a Rams fan, I'm finding every burner I got, and we're banding together. I'm hitting up all my boys. Message Kelly right now. Let's get something going with Jimmy. Get Matthew fired up.
That's not what you want. He's retiring. That's going to break his heart. He's retiring. He ain't built like that. He ain't built like that.
Show if he has that dog in him or not. All right. Yeah. That'll fire him up.
That dog. That
dog. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
You saw that dog in action in fucking Georgia when he was getting Logan Gray's sloppy seconds.
Oh, okay.
Watched it happen. Stayed in the car. Didn't get out of the car. I want it. I want it now. It's my turn. That's what he said. That's what he said.
Yeah, he was hitting him with the Skip Bayless. That's fair. I mean, hey, we're talking Lions, and one thing I did want to get to one of these days with all of us, but me and you could break it down, is some of the matchups you're most excited for, one-on-one matchups, any game this season. I mean, it could be, if you want to bring up a team, cool. But any specific one-on-one matchups you're looking for, Lions offense or Lions defense against any other receiver? Or vice versa?
Kind of hinted on already. We talked about Xavier McKinney, but I think that's the Packers' most pivotal offseason move was bringing in Xavier McKinney, and I'm really interested to see how Sam Laporta matches up with him because Sam Laporta, I saw the guy who runs all 22 kind of compare Sam Laporta to this, and Jeff, you'll like it. He's like, It's a different sport, but he's like, Sam Laporta is like a 3, a small forward in the NFL because when you talk about lining him up on like a linebacker or a safety, he's got the size, but he's also got the speed to get around them, and he can also post you up, go get the jump ball. So watching Sam Laporta against Xavier McKinney, who in my opinion is probably the closest safety to Brian Branch as far as just how they play the game, both Nick Saban safeties, both of them freshmen All-Americans. Like Xavier McKinney is a very good NFL safety, and if you don't know about him, I'm not doing this because I'm a Packers slappy or anything like that, hyping up the Packers. No, I'm not doing anything like that. But Xavier McKinney's a damn good football player, and he's been around the league. He just got off his rookie contract, just got paid. Sam Laporta entering his second year. That's a matchup that if he can win will help this Lions offense so much, not only in the passing game, but in the blocking game. So Sam Laporta, Xavier McKinney, I'm excited to watch that matchup. I think Xavier's going to get him a couple times, but it's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
That's a great one. I mean, I would say a much anticipated matchup for me, and this is probably to no surprise, but I'm so excited for Terrion Arnold. I gotta say Terrion on really Cooper Kupp if we're going that route. Either Cooper Kupp or Puka. I would assume it's going to be Cooper Kupp, given that Puka's probably going to get Carlton Davis as he should, given what last time they played the Rams. Yeah. But I will say Terrion versus Cooper Kupp because you have a someone in Cooper Kupp who, Triple Crown, a very, very good route runner, a very, very smart player. He's been in the league for a while, and he is the type of player that to any rookie it is a welcome to the NFL moment. So that's where I think with Terrion, it's that even if he does, he's going to get Terrion a couple times, but it's only going to make him better. I think it's a great game one start for him. And I think McVay, offensively creative, and Terrion seeing different things, seeing that scheme, seeing how fast the game's moving, because it's different when you're in minicamp and OTAs and everyone's just everyone's competing, but then you get into week one, you're at Ford Field, it's electric, you can't even hear yourself think, and then you have Cooper Kupp just staring at you, just ready to work. But I think Terrion's built for that, though. So I'm excited. I would say Terrion, and it's his first game in the NFL, so there's also that storyline. I'll probably be in attendance watching with my Logan Gray QB1 Georgia's Finest t-shirt, only available at officialcbsports.com. I'll definitely be watching. That's a plug right there. But I'll be locked in. I can't wait. So that's probably one of my most anticipated matchups. Another one.
Just kind of going off of what you just said, though, what I'm most interested, because I'm interested to see how Terrion responds, because Cooper Kupp's going to burn him once or twice, maybe even 3 times. It's going to happen. The reason Cooper Kupp is so good is not because he's the fastest or the strongest, but Cooper Kupp just knows how to manipulate DBs with his release and set you up for failure. He's almost like how Doug Baldwin, where it's like basketball crossovers. He's doing that in his release and his stem, and defenders just don't know where he's going. So he's going to get Terrion because Terrion just hasn't seen that before. But what I want to see out of Terrion is what he does the next play after that, how he responds, because that's why you draft him in the first round. After you get burnt, go make a play. Brian Branch, when they were, I believe, in Minnesota, or maybe it was home against Minnesota. Either way, he dropped a pick, got burnt, and then 2 plays later made a pick and made up for it. That's what makes Brian Branch so good. He just next play mentality. And Terrion Arnold being from Alabama, and I think just at the same level of player as far as what he could be in the NFL as Brian Branch, if he can just be able to make up for plays, I think in that game, week 1, that's all you need to see out of him. But I am excited. I'm not trying to downplay it. I just know he's not going to be locking down Cooper Kupp week 1. If he does, mail in the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. Mail it in.
I see some of the comments. I mean, Jeff Olson, Kupp is washed up. In here, and I get in Kryptonic TV, Cooper Kupp is number 2 now on Rams. We can stop jerking off Kupp being token white guy at the wide receiver top. I'm not saying that Cooper Kupp is the best wide receiver, but you cannot deny he's still Cooper Kupp. He's been dealing with injuries. I mean, last year he played in like 12 games, had like 800 yards, but the year prior he played in 9 games and had like 800 yards. No. Think about what he was on pace for. I mean, he was on pace for another 1,600 yard season. And then Puka got there and he missed some games, and Puka's a great player. But let's not Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp. It's not like he just forgot how to play football. He forgot how to run routes. Like that stuff doesn't leave him. Getting injured, that's fair for a whole season.
If Cooper Kupp is healthy, which he will be for week 1, and you think, oh, I don't got to worry about Cooper Kupp. He's going to have 9 catches, 128 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the first half. He's a guy that will just get you right now, because him and Stafford's chemistry, that's not going anywhere either. That's probably top, even with Puka being the number 1 there, I still say, but the chemistry between Stafford and Cooper Kupp, top 5 in the league, maybe even top 3. I put Burrow, Jamar Chase, and then Mahomes and Kelsey are probably 1. So Burrow, Chase 2, Mahomes, Kelsey, and then Stafford and Kupp.
You know what, too? I mean, Terrion Arnold, if you see that video of him with moving his hips, that man, as a corner, he's built to play corner. He's gonna be such a good corner. He could come out week 1 and really surprise a lot of people. Not that we don't think he's gonna be good, but he could be way better sooner than expected. But there's just that, it's just part of playing corner. Like there's just going to be
kind of. I'm going to segue to the other matchup that I'm excited for, because I'm sure it won't be all game, but staying on Terrion Arnold, week 3, I believe it's week 3, Terrion versus Marvin Harrison. I think that matchup's going to be so fun to watch.
That's incredible.
Because Marv's the type of guy.
On him, though?
I'm sure they will, but I'm sure there will be moments where they'll make sure that Marvin gets up. They'll put him in motion, make sure that Carlton's not following him. Like they'll find a way to get Marvin off of him, and that's when Terrion will be on him. So even if it's for 4 or 5 plays, I'm sure it'd even be more than that. I'm excited to watch Terrion and Marv, rookie on rookie. I think that Marv is definitely the best wide receiver, but you could argue that Terrion is the best corner. I said between him and Quinyon, I'd take Terrion. So that's going to be an exciting matchup to watch. Because Kyler's not a guy that can't get him the ball. Like Kyler's going to be feeding that, man. I think Kyler's a guy that production-wise could have a top 10 type of year.
Yeah, and again, I see some people chiming in, arguing about Cooper Kupp here. And again, it's not that Cooper Kupp is what he was a couple of years ago, but we cannot deny that Cooper Kupp is still a good player. And that's someone that Terrion Arnold, I'm sure, knows better than we do. Another matchup I'll bring up, and to go to the offensive side, actually, we'll stay on defense. We'll go to offense in a little bit here. I think Carlton Davis, if we're talking about him as a true CB1, for me, I just want to see Carlton Davis matched up with Justin Jefferson or matched up with Keenan Allen. I want to see Carlton Davis. We've been sold Carlton Davis as a number one corner, which I do think he possesses those qualities. I know Jeff Olson, Bucks fan in the chat, he has said a lot of good things about Carlton Davis, but I got to see it. I got to see Carlton Davis out there. I think when healthy, and he misses a couple games a year, but I would put Carlton as a top 15 corner. I think in some great years, he could be closer top 10. But I think Carlton Davis against really any number one wide receiver is one of my most anticipated. And notice how I went back-to-back corner. That's where my eyes are going. The offense is like, okay, you want to see, Penei Sewell against Rashawn Gary, or not even, it would be Taylor Decker, who got absolutely taken advantage of. Yeah, we can go that route. But for me, or Amon-Ra against any corner, usually Amon-Ra is going to win a lion's share of those battles, no pun intended. But I'm going defense. I am going defense. And I see Spirit of Detroit podcast in here too. Carlton is not a CB1. Give it time. He possesses the quality, but his consistency isn't there. He's had 2 shutdown years, but he wasn't shut down at all. Yeah, I think when you mention shutdown corners, to me, there's only probably as many as you can count on one hand. If you're talking about shut down corners, you can't just say that. There's probably a couple guys that you can say those guys can shut receivers down. But if we're talking about what shutdown used to be, there ain't any. It's not like the back of or a guy would be held to, 0 catches. Once in a while you'll get it. But shutdown in today's NFL is like, can you hold them to 2 catches for 20 yards? Like, that's kind of shutdown. Like, it's
the style is completely different.
Yeah. Like back then, Darrelle Revis was, it was shutting people down.
There's no Champ Bailey. I think Sauce you consider a shutdown type of guy. Maybe Patrick Surtain, but to your point, as far as to that level, I don't know. Just because the game's just played completely different.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Offensive players, we see the rule changes. It's just continuing to get worse for corner specifically. Let's see. Kryptonic TV Harrison, referring to Marvin, has already dicking around and being a diva, has shades of Odell and none of the good shades.
Relax. For what? What headlines is he making? Because he got in a lawsuit dispute with who was it?
It was with Fanatics. Yes.
Who cares?
For not
you're acting like.
Yeah, and another thing,
he never had an issue
initially. He didn't sign it, but who cares about any of that shit? It's all. Diva is something you have to. I don't want to say, maybe earns the wrong way to say it.
Caleb Williams earned that.
Okay, well, you know what? It's got to be something that over a period of time, your actions over a period of time dictate, like, oh, this guy's a problem. I don't know if a rookie you can be like, this guy's just a diva. Like, you don't even, like, for example, if you're going to bring up Odell, like Odell's had moments on the field, plenty of those where you look at it and be like, okay, guy's a little bit of a headache, was really talented, but still a little bit of a headache. I think the last couple years, Odell, he's been a lot better, but you can see it through a guy's actions. It's just,
I would say like Kayvon Thibodeau coming out of the draft was diva. Marvin Harrison is not a diva. Or like a Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, but even,
like that.
Even Kayvon, some of the things he's done dictate a little bit of a diva. But that's not just from the draft. That's like in the NFL stuff he's still doing. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, that's a diva. Like if he would have changed completely and just not been as I don't want to be the shut up and dribble guy. I gotta watch. That's a lot. I can't say that, but you get what I'm saying. Some of the actions.
Yeah, there's a way. No, you don't have to shut up and dribble, but there's a way where you carry yourself and just talk about the game where people either respect you or they don't. And he's on a couple of times made people not respect the way that he looks at the game. So,
let's see. Let's see. I see. Kryptonic TV says that kind of money nonsense is all distractions. Can't be denied. Well, you know what? You have right to your opinion. I see also the Stanley Cup is on, and I have a bet in place. All right, and I have a bet in place. I want to share with the people. Booner and Mike sent me this. They said,
I don't know how to navigate hockey bets. I tried placing it, and I just got confused looking through it. So like, you know what? Not for me. We'll save the cash for something useful.
Well, I honestly, I might have just threw money right out the window. I think I just did that. But here's my bet. This is what I got in place. I'll show the people. All right. What are we? As plus what? Plus wait,
532.
Oh wait, it's focus. Yeah, plus 532. I got
two. People can
Draisaitl 1 point. You got Zach Hyman 3 shots on goal. McDavid 2 points, and you got old Matt getting 3 shots on goal. All right.
No money line.
No.
Who's supposed to be like winning this?
Well, the Panthers were up 3-0.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, but the Oilers are just. I mean, Connor McDavid's the best player in the
like on paper. Do you know who's the better team between the two? I pay zero attention to hockey. Mike,
and I'm not as dialed in. And please, the check. And I mean, based on the series, it's looking like the Oilers have the advantage. But in general, like if you're going before the series, I think people were picking the Panthers. Like that was because what they've done. But hey, Oilers are here. It might be the greatest comeback. I mean, I get it if you want people are locked into it. Yeah, people would agree with that. I mean, Tyler says Florida was in the cup last year, so I mean, you're going off that information.
Thank you, chat. Thank you.
That Panthers were pretty much the consensus, but hey, we'll see. I don't know what the score is. I don't have the game on, so I'm going to pull it up so I can at least get an update here because when you got some money on the line, I got to be dialed in here. Panthers are up 1-0. Yeah, Panthers are up 1-0. First period. Yeah, okay. Just get a little update there. Make sure I get some money out of this. I'm bad, by the way, with just betting in general, and you guys know that. I barely place any bets. But tonight, I said, you know what? Why not? Got a little bonus bet in the FanDuel account. We're rolling with it. I do want to bring this up as well. Pro Football Talk put out their power rankings, which we are going to do very soon, by the way. Give out our all 32-team power rankings that we're going to do on this show. Because it is kind of getting to that part of the season where we do power rankings and we break down different things. This is Pro Football Talk. And here, Lucas, I'm going to get him back in a second here.
Gotcha.
Good old Mike Florio. I think he's good now. You good, Lucas?
But I didn't even know I was frozen. Here, let me keep going. And if it freezes, just let me know. I'll take over and I'll switch over to
Mike Florio, the man that, you know what? Talks for a living, has some interesting takes. Some I do disagree with. Some I can live with. This is his 32-team power ranking, pre-camp, of course, because more information we get at camp matters. But here is his 32-team power ranking. Let's put this on screen, and then we'll react to where the lines are and see if we disagree or agree with it. So here's his power ranking list.
Wow.
The Chiefs are at 1, 49ers at 2, Lions at 3, Ravens at 4, Eagles at 5, so on and so forth. I think some notable teams here. Packers at 6, Bills at 7, in front of the Bengals. Buccaneers in the top 10, the Texans at 10, Buccaneers at 9. And you have, let's see, some other ones that I thought were just interesting, I'll just say. Jets at 25.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And the Cardinals at 30.
The Rams at 13 is terrible too. Having the in my opinion, having the Chargers over the Jets is blasphemous. But I honestly, as far as the top 5 goes, top 6, I don't hate it. Once you start putting the Bills in front of the Bengals, that's where I'm drawing an issue. And I think having the Texans that low is crazy. But for Mike Florio, I don't think it's that bad compared to the normal stuff he's putting out.
I mean, this to me is. There are, and again, every power ranking, you're not going to agree with every single team. I think he got the first 3 teams, 4 teams right, 5 teams right. Top 5, I don't have an issue with. Now, 6, I would put the Bengals over the Packers. I would put, let's see. I'm trying to think of another team. Dolphins, I'm going to lean Packers. I'm going to lean Packers there. What do you think? Any other team you'd put over the Packers? I think just the Bengals for me.
I think you could. There's an argument for the Rams over the Packers for sure.
I think that's fair.
The Rams are easily a top 10 team. I'd probably just switch the Rams and the Bills and call it a day. As far as the top 15 goes.
Yeah.
But like if the Bills behind the Browns, do you really hate that when they're in front of the Steelers? No. Do you hate that they're in front of the Chargers? No. The Cowboys, they belong there. The Cowboys are the most average team in the NFL this year. That's why they're at 16. But if you swap the Bills and the Rams, I like the list a lot more.
Bills are way too high. I don't know what is going on with that. And that must just be Josh Allen. That is the only reason. That is it. Because if you try to make an actual football argument, you'd bring up their defensive line, I guess.
Their secondary's washed. The linebackers, Milano's coming back, but they've lost their other linebacker. Tremaine Edmonds, and I like who's the other linebacker we always hype up, Jeff, number 47.
Oh,
can't think of his name, but either way, they're solid at the linebacker position, but that's pretty much it. Like Von Miller's not scaring anybody anymore. Ed Oliver's solid, but he's not anything crazy. And same thing with
Bernard.
Yeah, yep.
He's a good player.
But defensively, they're just mid. And in that division, you talk about the Dolphins wide receivers. You got the Patriots, I understand that, but between the Dolphins and the Jets, like having a mid defense is not going to go well for them.
Yeah, and listen, I get the Packers love. I mean, how they finish, and that usually carries over into the next season. The Packers, to me, are a top 10 team. I don't think they're a fringe top 5 team. I think that's, to me, like the Texans should be higher, in my opinion, based on it's CJ Stroud and what they've done and who they've added. Like, I get it's on paper, but if we're going pre-camp before any of the storylines, you have to make it based off talent, and they're better than the Bills. I don't deny that. I think they're better.
That one's not even close.
Yeah, they're better than the Bills, and I would take them over the Packers if I'm being honest. So I would put them 6 if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Buccaneers inside the top 10 is a little surprising, but that's another one where it's just you look around the roster, it's hard to say that they don't have a top 10 roster, especially after they made it to divisional round last year.
Yeah.
Then Derek Barnes, the Derek Barnes show.
Yeah, Jeff Olson. Don't forget about that. Derek Barnes. He broke out. Had his
very fine player.
Yeah, well, and this too, Jeff Olson. Let's slow down a little on the Texans. What have they really done? That to me isn't. I get it. You have to earn it. I don't think that's too crazy to say. I think I'm taking into consideration projection, like CJ Stroud, the type of quarterback he is. Bobby Slowick, easily one of the best OCs. They're stacked defensively. That is something, defensive line stacked. Linebackers, they're fine. Secondary, not bad. I think they got some pieces in their secondary. So I get what you're saying, Jeff. I'm more high on the Texans. A lot of that has to do with, again, I'm not as out on their head coach. I think the Bills, Sean McDermott's a year away from getting fired.
Yeah. It's gross looking at the Saints and Vikings in front of the Jets, too. I think the Saints are going to be bad this year, man. I think they're going to be bad. I think they trade away Kamara probably around the trade deadline. If not, this is his last year there. They're going to be reaching for talent. Chris Olave, if he can stay healthy, is the only thing they got going.
Yeah. I mean, the Lions at 3, the only 2 teams are the 49ers and Chiefs. The Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are the best team in the league, and they deserve that. I don't think there's any, you can't just sit here and say the Lions are better than the Chiefs. To me, that'd be a little blasphemous. I understand there may be a little biasy, but if we're talking realistically, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl and got better. So, and they took down the team the Lions couldn't close out. I think the 49ers, without Ayiuk, it's close. Because defensively, closer. Because defensively, they have the advantage. Offensively, they're stacked. Like, I understand that. I think it's more of a conversation with those 2 teams. I don't hate the Lions should be top 3. I think that's fair.
I don't think it's fair to put the Lions in front of the 49ers unless there's a drastic injury to the Niners until they beat them. I think by default, it's just one of those things where, it's similar on paper, but unfortunately, you can't just say the Lions are better than the 49ers. How? Prove how. I just, there's no way that you can say it. Even if they didn't blow the 17-point lead, it was just a close game. You can't say that the Lions are better at this point.
Well, here's the thing with that. All right, so you go quarterback. I personally would give the Lions that advantage. So I would give the Lions the quarterback advantage. If you go offensive line, I would give the Lions that advantage. If you go weapons, unless we go wide receiver core, running back room, but if we go weapons, that's where Christian McCaffrey, what is his value? Does he just win because they have Christian McCaffrey? I don't know. Weapons, it's close. I would give the nod to the 49ers because I think they have a deeper wide receiver room. But at the same time, if J-Mo is really, really good this year, then it's like, okay, well, you have a trio right there in the passing game. And Jameer is also a weapon. So, man, I might even give the Lions an advantage, Klotzy, if especially if Ayiuk's out of there on the weapon side of things. And then you go defensively. So Lions, I think, offensively have the advantage. Defensive line, I'd give it to the 49ers. Linebackers, give it to the 49ers. Secondary, I'd give to the Lions. So, yeah, I would give them the edge. I would give them the edge defensively, but offensively, I'm going with the Lions. Mm-hmm.
It's tough because the 49ers, they have Tre'Davious Ward, and then they have Hufanga, who people are sleeping on a lot. So I don't know. They got some guys in the secondary as well, so I don't think it's easy to put them over. But I will give the Lions secondary just the edge, just because I think they're more depth, especially in the cornerback room.
Yeah, and that's why I think you have an argument there, but the Chiefs, I don't know if any team has an argument. They just don't. So that's where I stand with it. I did want to do a game before we get to 9 o'clock here. Just a fun segment. It's start, bench, cut, and we're going to go through 3 Lions players, ring them off. You guys are going to type in the chat, start, bench, cut each of these Lions players. And Lucas did a good job of grouping these players, making it more difficult for you guys to make a decision. So we're going to start with the first group of players. That is going to be Laporta, Brian Branch. What?
Am I frozen, by the way? Trying to work on.
Are you good on your end?
Yeah, I'm fine on my end.
Yeah, video-wise, it's lagging, but hey, you're with us.
Okay, we'll work through it. I'll fix it after this.
All right. Well, we'll start with the first one. Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs. Start, bench, cut. Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs.
If I had to guess, project. Are we doing off this year or careers?
I would say projection got to be factored into it.
I'm gonna stay on my Jahmyr Gibbs. That's my number one. So Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm gonna go with the start, and then this is where I'm gonna go with Brian. This hurts to say because you know how I feel about Laporta, but I'm gonna go with Brian Branch as the bench just because I think safety, especially at the nickel spot, is a little bit more valuable than tight end. I think it's hard to find an all-pro level nickel and guy that can play corner and safety at a high level compared to all-pro level tight end. Not saying that you can't. But I just think it's hard to find that. And then I got to cut Sam Laporta. It pains me to say it. But that's the way that I'm going. Laporta's my guy, though. Like Detroit supremacy. To say that I'm hating on Laporta again, that's wild. Wild take.
You know what's a wild take?
What's that?
That you would cut the second best tight end in the National Football League.
That's fair. This year he is, but I just think there's more high-level running backs and safeties than there is tight ends. Like I think after you get past the Kittles, Kelseys, but when you talk about what do they really do, like if you look at Sam Laporta compared to Brian Branch, because Jahmyr Gibbs I just think is going to be one of the best players in football for a long time. I think when you look at Brian Branch, he can impact in the run game, pass game, and then he can get to the quarterback as well. That's 3 things, and he can play 3 different positions. You can play safety, nickel, and corner. Sam Laporta, great player, only can play tight end. You can put Brian Branch in a lot of spots, and just his ability to be versatile on 3 levels of the defense, I'm going to take. That's just why.
Okay, you know what? Here, this is where I'm at, and this is the real answer. All right, sorry, Lucas. This is the real answer. All right, here's where I disagree with you, Klotzy. All right, and anybody saying that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a great player, I don't hate it. I really don't. But when it comes to me, this is my organization, and you're asking me, you got these 3 players, start, bench, cut, and I have to make a decision. I'm looking at it, I'm going, okay, I got Sam Laporta, arguably the second best tight end in the National Football League. That's hard to come by, having a great tight end. All right, a top 5 tight end, let alone top 2. All right, so at that, I'm immediately making a decision. He's starting. Now
he's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'll get to it. Don't worry. You could try all you want.
I already know the list now. I'm
gonna look at the bench. I go, well, I need a solid player. You know what? You just nailed it. It's hard to find a really good Pro Bowl, All Pro / Pro Bowl / All Pro level starting someone starting the slot or a nickel for you, I'm going Brian Branch. I'm sorry. I just am. I'm benching Brian Branch. I know it sounds bad, but I'm keeping really Sam Laporta and Brian Branch. I'm sorry. Jameer's talented. He's a great player. But see you later. I got to cut him.
Riddle me this, Hefe, since you want to talk about
based on the options I had.
Riddle me this, Hefe. Sam Laporta.
I'll riddle.
All pro tight end, not many of them. Do you think Jahmyr Gibbs is a player that can be just offensive player of the year type of potential?
You know, I think he's got a lot. I think he's got that ceiling, but will he live up to it? Sam Laporta has lived up to all pro.
But I'm saying offensive. I'm not saying all pro because I think he'll get that's a given for Jahmyr Gibbs. Just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. I'm saying offensive player of the year, like the great Louis Riddick speaks of, how he can be an MVP candidate. I think Jahmyr Gibbs can be that level of player. Can Sam Laporta as a tight end ever do that? And it's not me hating on Sam Laporta. How many tight ends have won offensive player of the year or NFL MVP? There's not many players that can do that. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the non-quarterbacks that can.
I'll say this. Jeff's organization, we want to be great for a long period of time.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a great tight end for 10, 12, 13, 14 years. You can have Jahmyr for 7. I want Sam Laporta for 12, 13, 14 years playing at a high level.
Not a bad pick. It's not a bad pick, but who's going to impact the game more while they're there?
Jahmyr's going to get you a lot of production. I don't deny it. But, man, if you're using him as much as you're describing, pause, but damn, offensive player of the year. He ain't gonna last a while in this league, man. He's just so you can have him. In all due respect, love Jahmyr, by the way. I think he's super talented. But I'm keeping my 12, 13 year career Sam Laporta. And Brian Branch.
It's not a bad
12,
pick.
13, 14 year
not
career.
The decision I'm making. We can flip right over to Brian Branch.
Hey, well, that's just the first one. The second one we're gonna do, and that was great. And I'm gonna get before we move on, I'm gonna get to some other comments here that people were bringing up. Ryan says, me and Jeff are on the same page. Ryan, that's what I'm talking about, dude. That's why I love you. I see some other people here. I see some Laportas. I see Illinois says Gibbs is replaceable. Well, hey, Lucas ain't going to like that one.
By default, yeah, he is. But you don't just find Jahmyr Gibbs walking around the streets.
He also said, start Brian Branch, bench Laporta, cut Jahmyr Gibbs. So they did it the other way.
I don't hate it. I think people are sleeping on Jahmyr's, but when Jahmyr Gibbs reaches his peak, he's going to be one of the best football players in the NFL, not just at his position. He will be one of the best players in the NFL. And I think Sam Laporta at his position will be. And I think you could he's probably a top 15 player offensively, probably not with quarterbacks, but Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, will be as far as a weapon, top 3 in the league. Because I think where the NFL is going, he's going to be a weapon through the air and on the ground.
So name your top 3 weapons right now.
I think if you're going to talk about right now, Justin Jefferson's by far number 1, Christian McCaffrey. Then it's going to be a receiver or Kelsey.
Tyreek Hill.
I'd probably go Tyreek Hill number 3.
So you think he's going to be better than one of those guys this year?
I think he's going to be, when you talk about, who's after those guys, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is in that caliber. I think he's by far could easily be the best running back in the NFL as far as through the ground and on the air. I think if it's not him, if it's not Breece Hall or Bijan Robinson, it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. And if it's one of those guys, he's going to be right behind him. And I don't think it'd be hard to argue between the 3 of them. So if you want to put it like that, That's just where I stand. I think they draft him at 12 for a reason. And I think you will see that.
Not Marvin Harrison, huh?
It doesn't have to be just Jahmyr Gibbs. But when you talk about who's after Justin Jefferson, it's probably Marvin Harrison. Yeah. When you talk about the weapons in the NFL, you have the best wide receivers, the top 2 wide receivers, the top 2 running backs. Do I think Jahmyr Gibbs could be top 2 running back in the NFL one day? Absolutely.
Are you going to be one of those guys that doesn't share? He shares a backfield, but he's still that guy. Now, maybe not putting up the numbers.
I think you can. Just to what you guys talk about so much, and which I agree with, but I think you guys rely on his ability on not only on the ground but through the air, the way that Ben Johnson can manipulate him. Even when Ben Johnson leaves, I think that's a reason to lean on Jahmyr Gibbs even a little bit more, especially at the start of it.
Look at some of these contracts too. The 2024 top running back contracts. Christian McCaffrey, average per year $19 million. Saquon average per year $12.6. Josh Jacobs average per year $12. Ramondre Stevenson just signed inked a deal, average per year $9 million, and Joe Mixon $8.5 million average. So
it's crazy.
Wild. I mean, Christian McCaffrey got the shortest term deal, but look at the money he's making, 19 compared to everyone else. But that's also someone who's put up 1,000 yards receiving before.
And what's crazy, when I was watching this, I got this from Rich Eisen. This offseason alone, there were 8 running backs that signed for over $7 million a year on their salary. So 8 running backs. From 2021, I believe, until 2023, there was only 3 running backs. So you look at this, 3 running backs over the last 3 years that got signed for $7 million and more, and then just 8 alone in this offseason. Again, with the salary cap going up, that's going to happen. But it shows that even with a running back draft that was a little bit weaker, teams are going to be buying these running backs, even if it's for short-term deals. They're getting paid decent compared to what they were used to be. So when you look at Jameer, when his running back contract gets up, what is he going to be looking to get? Are the Lions going to be re-signing him? Because if Saquon's getting 12 right now, by the time that Jameer's contract gets up, I bet he's going to be in the $14-15 million range to begin with. That's just off the start.
I was just going to say, 15. So me and you agree. That's like about what he's going to command. So I don't know. But hey, he's gonna produce while he's in Detroit. That's all I know. Let's get to the next group of players, because we get a couple more, and then we're gonna get Anthony on for Pistons Talk some NBA draft, because it is Wednesday. Next group of players. This one is going to tear Lions fans apart.
Oh, I already know which one it is.
Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson. I know. The third one, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, I just went there. Yep.
I think the first one, Jeff, should be easy. The start should be easy. I don't think in any mind that you're not starting Penei Sewell first. I think Penei Sewell is the best player on this team. I think he's the most important player on this team outside of Jared Goff, if you want to say the quarterback position. But Penei Sewell is the culture and the best player on this team, so he's got to be one. If you want me to be honest, I love Amon-Ra, but I think you got to put Hutch at the bench, just because you talk about defensive end, or why the argument you were just using on me. I know it doesn't fit my narrative in the last one, but for this one, it's fitting the narrative. I'm going with Hutch just because I think he's a type of guy that can be all-pro type of defensive end. And I think when you talk about, you could have Hutch and Penei, I think that's more dynamic, more important, and it can be more disruptive than Amon-Ra and Penei.
You nail. I mean, if we're talking start, bench, cut, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know my philosophy with this thing. I've talked about it at least closer to draft time. I value positions closer to the football, and I think Penei Sewell and Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, that is besides quarterback. I look at quarterback as the most important position. Left tackle or tackle, edge. And then you could start getting into more specific, and you go a little outside a little bit. Wide receiver is important. I want to make that clear. It's not all just
running back.
It's not always just close to the football. I'm not going to go tight end or anything, but you get my point. You start in the trenches, quarterback in the trenches, and then you can bring up corner, wide receiver. That's where my mind goes. And then running back it's just in the back there somewhere. But you get the point.
You hate running backs.
No,
you hate what I love.
It's just the truth. So I'm gonna go start Penei Sewell, bench Aiden Hutchinson, and then cut Amon-Ra St. Brown. I hate that because I got an Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey hanging up in that closet over there. So I got to watch because I love Amon-Ra, but that's why this game is going to break some hearts. That's how I feel about it. And Illinois makes a great point too. I mean, wide receiver is becoming number 2 value behind quarterback based on recent contracts. Wide receiver, I will say, has been more and more important as time goes on because of the rules in the NFL and why everything's changed. That's so important because it's moving to an offensive passing game. Obviously, the run game still matters, but it opens up for what? The passing game. The run game opens up for pass. You see what Kyle Shanahan's of the world are doing. Ben Johnson, obviously, with this offense. So to your point, you're absolutely spot on. Wide receiver, 2 decades ago, we'd be having a different conversation. Running back would be much higher. But in today's NFL, wide receiver's up there. It is. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this though, and I'm not saying I'm one that. Of course, I love wide receivers. My favorite position to watch. You look at the Super Bowl champions though, and I know they have Patrick Mahomes, but they had a rookie wide receiver, Justin Watson, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Travis Kelce. So I would argue that wide receiver is, but I think it's more important to have either a secondary or defensive line. And then honestly, I'd probably go in that order. I would go quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, secondary, then wide receiver. But if you have a lockdown secondary, you can disrupt any wide receiver core.
Chiefs had a great secondary, not a great wide receiver core. Look what they did.
You look at the 49ers, great wide receiver core, especially when Hufanga left, weak-ass secondary. The Lions, they made easy work of that. So that was
but their defensive line, like you said, their defensive line, dude, that's how they
Kelce had a down year too. Like Kelce, this was probably at least over the last 3 to 4 years by far his most down year. Probably because they didn't have any wide receivers there. But even him, he was dropping the ball. It looked just like the chemistry in that whole receiving room was just off.
So before we move on, I like this question. BD Buster, appreciate you joining the show, my man. He says, if the Bears end up firing their head coach after this year, do you think Ben Johnson goes there? I think that is inevitable. Illini, I want your thoughts on this as a Bears fan. I think ideally, and I'll speak for Bears fans, I guess, even though I'm not a Bears fan, but I think that Bears fans should want, and I got to watch here because there might be some that like Matt Eberflus. I don't know, but based on this is my perspective. I think you guys need an offensive coach, an offensive-minded head coach. That is where the league is going. And I think Ben Johnson, it sucks to say this, but if Matt Eberflus gets fired, if I'm Ryan Poles, I'm doing everything in my power to try and recruit Ben Johnson. I don't know if it's going to happen, but man, that would be great. You get a young quarterback, you pair him with Ben Johnson. I think there's a part of Ben that would want to go somewhere more proven. He had Jared Goff, as his first OC job. So maybe you think, or there might be a chance he's like, I'll go with a rookie. But there's part of me that thinks more of a Buffalo with Josh Allen or somewhere with a proven quarterback would be more ideal for him. But I don't want to discount that, or try and discount that. I know. And I said,
talking about it though. That's a terrifying thought to think about.
Because I know. I'm with you. I am with you.
And I know that you're probably
the wrong ball though. Real quick, Slowick or Ben Johnson. He knows. That's who you want as your head coach. But continue. Sorry.
You're going Ben Johnson, especially because the fact he just came from the Detroit Lions. So who knows the Detroit Lions offense better than Ben Johnson? Like that's where I'm leaning. But when you look at the future of the two teams, and I'm just doing this to play devil's advocate, I'm leaning probably Chicago. Who has the brighter future offensively? Chicago with Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze and company, or Buffalo with Josh Allen and Keon Coleman?
Chicago.
And defensively, who has a better situation going on, Chicago or Buffalo? The thing is I think people could laugh at this a little bit, but I think Ben, with how close-knit he is to this coaching staff, what he's done for his career in Detroit, I don't think that's a move he would take. I don't think he would do that, man. I really do. And I could be wrong because money talks more than anything, but I think Ben Johnson has showed that he just likes – I think this whole coaching staff in a way is just very real. They are who they are, and they don't switch up on anything. And I just think that's a move where it's switching up, and I don't think that really goes with how he's operated in the past.
Well, he could. He was from that Carolina area. That's where he went to school. I guess New York isn't close, but it's closer than Chicago. Maybe if Buffalo, that would be somewhere where he's more interested. But again, what talks?
Going to Carolina. Yeah.
You know what? I don't care what. I'm sorry. And I just speak for myself here. I don't want to say I'm a sellout, but hey, if I'm Ben Johnson and it's a good situation as well, they're cutting that check. I'm willing to listen.
Are you going to Chicago, or you say another season in Detroit? Which one would you do?
I guess it depends.
No bias out of it.
I'm going to be honest. It would depend, and this is going to be a terrible answer. You're going to hate this, but I'm going to have to watch this year and see what Caleb is.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Because if Caleb is really good, or at least he shows a lot of signs, I'm like, I can work with this. But if he's a bust, I'm like, I ain't going to Chicago. I'm going to somewhere. You get that like
he's a bust. You said it. You said it.
Well, okay. Well, I'm just a hypothetical here. All right. Jeez. You get what I'm saying, though? I don't want to act like the Bears' job is, the best job on planet Earth. But, yeah, I mean, if Caleb's good, you're damn right. For any offensive coach, they'd love to go, coach with Coach Caleb. Well, but I thought he was a diva. That's what I was told.
Caleb is a diva. What the fuck? Dude, how many NFL players you see crying in the stand with their mom?
Oh, that's okay.
Probably the divas. Painting the nails, divas. Saying he wants
partial
ownership of the team he's drafted by diva.
Hey, I don't paint my nails. I don't indulge. But if you're gonna do it, do it.
I can't wait to see Aiden Hutchinson throw him around like he did Justin Fields, and then him just. It's 45-10. Caleb Williams to Roma Dunze down the sideline. Dude's gonna get bullied his first year. We'll see what he's about. We'll see how he responds. He's definitely capable of making plays. I don't know.
I saw someone put he's gonna love taking sacks in Chicago. I'm like, relax. All right, this isn't like, what are we doing here?
You guys,
no, he's not.
Hey, I'm gonna use the Coach JB example. If Caleb Williams tries doing what he did at USC, he's going to be a bust. If Caleb Williams is able to be coachable and learn how to sit his ass inside the pocket and make plays when he needs to, not when he wants to, he'll be a good NFL quarterback. Great one.
I think he will do that. I think he will do it. You know what? Screw this Caleb Williams stuff. Let's get to let's talk some Detroit Pistons with my guy Anthony from Pistons Talk, because he is joining the program here. We're gonna break down draft is Wednesday. He'll be joining us today. We'll try to have him on as much as we can. Obviously, with draft week approaching, Tom Gores talking to the media. Hey, you got to watch out for that traffic. That traffic in Detroit, very vicious.
It'll get
been
you
down there. Never been in traffic. But, that was also when I was in traffic. There was one time it was like 5, 6 o'clock. This press conference started at 3. So I'm just throwing that out there. But let's get out Anthony in here. Let's get his thoughts on it. Please welcome to the show, Pistons Talk, and my good friend Anthony. What's going on, Anthony?
What's up, fellas?
How are we?
Good. Heard you guys talking about traffic. No hugs or threading the needle yet, but let's get into it.
Yeah, sorry, Anthony. We can't offer you a 4 a.m. hug. It is not on the menu today, but I will tell you this, Anthony. Wednesday, lot going on. All right, Trajan Langdon has his hands full, and I'm not just talking about full with Tom Gores. I'm talking about with the actual NBA draft. All right, there's a lot to get into. We'll get to the coaching stuff in a little bit here, but I want to ask you, at least at this point, it's Monday, June 24th. We did literally a whole lottery rotating picks. And we talked a little bit about prospects, but is there anybody that you're specifically, or at least a couple guys that you're looking for the Detroit Pistons as perfect fits? Because Trajan Langdon mentioned in the presser that they might not stay put at 5.
Yeah, that's kind of like the $1 million question. Where are they going to be picking at? Assuming they're going to be picking at 5. What I've heard a lot is Matas Pizzalis out of the G League Ignite. I think that would be a lock for the Pistons at 5. Other players, Dalton Connect, Ron Holland, Donovan Clingan, if he slips. You're going to get a quality player at 5 if you do stay there, Jeff.
Yeah, and Anthony, kind of looking before 5, do you think there's a team that can really disrupt what the Pistons have going on in their board? Is there a team that is looking at similar prospects, and if they take it, you think could really alter Langdon's board?
I think the one team that I'm really curious about is Houston. Even that's not really their pick. That's Brooklyn's pick from the James Harden trade. And, they got the 3rd overall pick. But Houston is the one team where I'm really curious to see if they keep the pick. There's been lots of talk about them possibly trading out of that pick. There are reports that they might target Reed Shepherd. That's another guy. If he does fall at 5, I think the Detroit Pistons would be excited if he was at 5. But Houston is that one team where I'm looking at that could disrupt their board.
And I want to ask you this too, at least for me, when I talk about some of the prospects that are ideal, we look at 3-and-D guys. And I know Cody Williams we've talked about as well. And I know Easy was mentioning he had like a list of prospects he's most interested in. What about Cody Williams? Because he's a guy that's kind of been floating around to that 8 to 10 range. If they trade back, is that a guy who could potentially be there at that spot, or you think he's someone that's going to continue to rise up the draft boards as a good 3-and-D guy, someone that and also brothers with a very good player in Jalen Williams?
There's a possibility Cody Williams goes top 5, Jeff. There's no guarantee Cody Williams is going to be down there. From people that I've talked to that are way smarter than me that cover the NBA draft, they would not be surprised if Cody Williams goes as high as 4 to the Spurs or as high as 5 to the Pistons. But I think Cody Williams, if you get past the injuries, you get past the low shooting volume, this is a guy that is just a freak nature, just pure alpha, just athletic wing that you like, 6'8", 7'1" wingspan, loves to play in transition, can shoot it a little bit, but I don't think there's any guarantee he's there if you do want to trade back if you're the Pistons.
And that's the $1 million question.
Oh, my bad, Jeff. Go ahead.
No, continue. That's the $1 million question, whether they stay put or not.
I would say, kind of going off that, Anthony, if they were to move up, what do you think they would have to give up in order to do so? Do you think it'd be a Jalen Duren or a Jaden Ivey, or do you think it'd be a player that maybe isn't so more impactful, but they're giving up more draft assets? But I don't think that's the logical thing to do for this team, is giving up more draft assets.
Isaiah Stewart.
Oh, beef.
We'll move up drafts. I don't think the draft's worth it, Anthony, but if they might be trading Isaiah Stewart. Honestly,
if they were to trade up, to your point, I don't think they go Duren. I don't think they go Ivy Asar. Or Cade Cunningham for that matter. There's some people in the city talking crazy about Cade. Just want to get that off my chest. But I honestly think there isn't a player in the Pistons core that is worth trading up to 5 in this draft class. It just kind of tells you, like, I don't like to say that this draft class is weak. There's just not a bona fide superstar that people are hyping up. There's a lot of good players in this lottery, but if you go outside the lottery, the drop off in talent really isn't like that severe. Like they're very comparable if you look at guys that are around that 15 to like 20 range.
I don't know if this is true.
I
don't know. I don't know if this is true. All right, I saw this. I'm just asking you because you'd know this. Is it true that there's prospects that aren't willing to work out for the Pistons?
There is some truth to that. Given they don't have a head coach, there was a very short list of confirmed workouts. I'm trying to remember. I know Cody Williams was one, Modest Bazelis was one, TJ Salong from Gillette was one, another French prospect, and Jacoby Walter out of Baylor was one. And that was kind of the list. And the other guys that they worked out aren't even projected to be draft picks. They're guys that are probably going to be undrafted for free agent pickups that you could maybe sign on 2 ways or kind of fill out your G League team. So it's kind of weird, kind of when you look at the pre-draft workouts with the Pistons, who they're working out kind of gives you an indication of like what they think of this upcoming draft, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, there's Alex Sarr. He's just like, I'm good. I don't want to go to Atlanta. It's like, has Alex Sarr been to Magic City? I mean, go to Magic City, get some lemon pepper wings. I guarantee you he's going to want to go number 1. That's weird. Wants to be the franchise player in Washington. Hey, to each his own. But I'll ask you this, Anthony. Any player that you think would be a sleeper for the Pistons in terms of could potentially fall, or a player that's selected at 5 or trading back and selecting that Pistons fans aren't talking about enough at this point?
I think for a sleeper, if you want to trade back, Khalil Ware out of Indiana is a stretch big that I think more people, once they watch the tape, they'll see like the upside there. The only concern with him is like really motor issues. And if you're not really worried about that, that's a guy that you could draft. A guy that I talked about with you, Deron Holmes.
Yep.
I think he's going to rise up this draft. He's just way too good, way too talented. Tristan Da Silva out of Colorado, even though he's around 22, 23, they shouldn't really scare you. Just kind of that prototypical, 3-4, if you will, kind of like what Simone Fontecchio plays. I think those are some of the players that you could look at as possible sleepers if you want to trade down. In terms of like in the top 5, I don't really think, Jeff, you could say there are any sleepers in the top 5.
No.
It's kind of given this draft class, but I mean, I'll give you a name. TJ Salong could go as high as 5 out of Gillette. It would not surprise me.
Yeah, he's someone you've been mentioning a lot. I've seen more and more Pistons fans talk about him too, in terms of just the upside there. I'll ask you, with the coaching search still going on, and they've interviewed Sean Sweeney, who had former tie. He's been a part of the Pistons organization for a couple of years. JJ Redick is already gone. He did his press conference today with the Lakers. That was interesting. I'll watch that if you have some free time. Talking to people in the chat. But Another person who's been rumored the most, James Borrego. Kenny Atkinson was hired by the Cleveland Cavaliers. And here's my thing with James Borrego. I don't necessarily hate the hire because I understand why. I understand the why. Offensive mind, going back with Charlotte, some would say overperformed given the roster he had at the time. Was with New Orleans. They had a really productive offense, like Sean Murphy late, and he's really good at that stuff. And he played it out on Twitter. I've seen Pistons fans talk about it as well. There's a part of me, Anthony, I don't know how you feel about this, but the idea of hiring a coach who's been fired does scare me a little bit. But then you have that other side where it's like you hired Dwayne Casey, coach of the year, Monty Williams, coach of the year, and it just didn't work out. So really, I guess it doesn't really matter when it comes down to it. But your thoughts on James Borrego compared to a Chris Quinn, who I was still probably number one on my go-get list?
For sure. I mean, I think when people look at James Borrego, I've seen it from Pistons fans recently. They think Trajan Langdon's is hiring all of people that he's worked with. But James Borrego comes from the Greg Popovich coaching tree. That's where he got his start. I think if you want an offensive-minded coach that really values the transition game, values the simplicity of just offense, he would be your guy. He would be a guy that could come in. He's young. I think he's only like 46, 47 years old. It doesn't really concern me that he got a raw deal in Charlotte. I mean, I don't like to call, franchises poverty, but Charlotte's kind of been poverty, Jeff.
That's fair.
You look at their coaching tree under Borrego. They tried to hire Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson got there, said, "Nah, I'm good," and they had to hire their old coach that they fired, Steve Clifford. So I wouldn't really look at Charlotte as a team as kind of like the standard, like, well, Charlotte fired him. We shouldn't want him. I think if you get a James Borrego, what you need to know is he is going to just simplify and teach these young Detroit Pistons how to set up offense. He really values just the offensive game. And I think that's what we really haven't seen. Like all last year, you didn't see ball movement. It was just ISOs for 15 seconds and just let Kate cook. I honestly like the James Borrego hire if that's where they're going to go.
Where are you at in terms of the perfect fit when you're looking at a philosophy? Is it an offensive coach? Is it a culture builder, defensive coach? Where are you at? Should it be an offensive minded head coach?
I think it depends when you look at the roster, when you look at what Troy Weaver left Trajan Langdon. Now, you had mentioned a guy in Chris Quinn who is very similar to Borrego, but Chris Quinn, what you have to know is he's not really known as like this X's and O coach. He's more of just a development coach. You look at guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo. He's had his hand with Spo in the Miami Heat, just developing those guys and helping them get ready each and every day. I think Chris Quinn would be a good hire, but I think the philosophy offensively would be a little bit different. Right. In terms of like Sean Sweeney, because I know you mentioned him, what you have to know about Sean Sweeney is this guy is just a basketball sicko. He literally wrote a book about X's and O's. He's more of a defensive-minded coach. So if you want to go defense, John Sweeney is probably where you're looking at. Offense, you're probably looking at Borrego. You're probably looking at Quinn. You're probably looking at Mike Inori.
Yeah, and I just, by the way, I did see Sean Sweeney's. He had like a whole you could pay for it. It's online, like a whole course for coaching and X's and O's. I mean, he's a sicko too. But to your point, just about this process for Trajan Langdon, I didn't get a chance to talk to you on Friday. I know we did our alternating pick draft before the press conference, but what are your thoughts on just Trajan, the press conference, Tom Gores? What are your thoughts on just the introductory press conference as a whole? How those two guys kind of came off to Pistons fans?
I think Tom Gores, I'll start with him first. I think he came out very vulnerable. He came out of that presser admitting that he's made mistakes. And that was the one time in my Pistons fandom since Tom Gores has purchased the team where I was like, well, maybe he's got it. Maybe he's reflecting a little bit. You don't really have to hire the best available name. You could hire someone like a Trajan Langdon that has an impressive resume, but he's young. He's hungry. He just needs that opportunity. That's what I felt with Tom Gores. Mentioning Trajan Langdon in the presser. With Trajan, the one thing that I really liked about him is he seems like the type of guy that has a 10-point plan, Jeff. He seems like the type of guy that went to Tom Gores' house, probably had like a, 15-page PowerPoint to present to him how to get out of this mess that the Pistons are currently in.
Yeah, this is my face when I watched the whole press conference. I mean, this was my face listening to Tom Gores. I'm sitting there going, okay, yeah, right, yeah. The monologue, I do appreciate a good monologue, Anthony. I do. I don't think. Listen. I think Tom Gores, in all seriousness, I will give him this, and I mentioned this to Sean as well because when we were recording today, I'll give him credit for recognizing and owning up to his mistakes. I think that shows a sense of maturity when you drop $80 million, not $80, $80 million basically to say goodbye to a coach. There are owners that would be like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to – maybe we should let him stick around for a little bit here. I mean, we're paying this guy a lot of money. Let's let this thing kind of cook a little bit. He said, hey, I messed up. He's gone. Made the decision. He kind of got grilled a little bit by Woj. Shout out to Woj from 97.1 and Jeff Rieger. They stuck it to him. I mean, they did. And he, I thought, held himself. He didn't have a terrible response. But I thought Trajan, my takeaway is he's very sharp. Very, very sharp. Competent, I guess, would be a good word for it. Troy Weaver, not that he was fully incompetent, but when at least you listen to Trajan speak, there is a sense of, okay, this guy has the leadership qualities, the way he approaches everything, his understanding of culture, which is something that, we're blessed with the Lions and how they're so in sync from top to bottom. It seems like the Pistons want to get to that where they are in sync, one universal voice, and everyone's aligned with what they want to do as an organization. How much faith do you have in this kind of panning out with one universal voice? Do you think Tom Gores can just step out, be like, you know what, Trajan Langdon, you run this thing? I know he called him, I had some notes here, called him, he said he could run a steel company was one of the things he said, very CEO minded. Do you have faith that they will fully let Trajan cook a little bit here, not have multiple voices?
I do, given where the franchise is currently at. Okay. If you look, since Tom Gores has purchased the team, Joe Dumars was still the president of basketball operations. He fires Joe Dumars, hires Mo Cheeks, fires Mo Cheeks, hires Van Gundy. He was the president, let him go. It has just been a revolving door. And I think in that press conference, what I respected the most about Tom Gores is he's like, you know what? I've tried to hire the best people. It's not working. I think he honestly believes Trajan can fix this. I think he's willing to give him just full autonomy to do what he wants, not report to Arntelem like Troy Weaver had to do his entire tenure. There's not going to be any, four decision makers, because that's what the Pistons basically had, four decision makers while Troy Weaver was here. Troy Weaver, when it does get out, because it is going to get out, because I know he did take in a senior advisor role with the Wizards today. When it gets out what he went through in Detroit, I think some people are going to be really upset and pissed off.
Yeah. What do you mean by that, Anthony?
Troy literally had, I'm not breaking any news, Troy had no autonomy to do what he wanted. If he wanted to trade for a player, had to go to Arntelem. If he wanted to do anything, had to go to Arntelem. Arntelem is the vice chairman. He's a part owner. So when Tom Gores isn't in town, Arntelem's calling the shots. So Troy really couldn't do what he wanted here. We really don't know what his vision may be. So it'll be really interesting what happens in Washington, because that's a lot of former OKC guys in one front office.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I do want to mention. I mean, I'm not going to excuse Troy Weaver and some of the things that transpired here, but what I will say is the situation that Trajan Langdon's in is ideal. I mean, you get not in terms of the talent, young talent, there are some, but in terms of the money available, you don't have a ton of bad contracts. Like, it's not the worst. It could be worse. It could be even worse. I just saw a report Shams just put out that the Pistons and Jazz are suitors in the Tobias Harris market.
Ooh,
yeah, and
does that fit your fancy?
Yeah. Well, Anthony, what do you think about that? The bringing Tobias Harris, Mr. Put up a donut in a playoff game. I think he could contribute. Anybody could contribute. He's a wing. He could shoot. What are your thoughts on a potential Tobias Harris acquisition?
I don't hate the idea of Tobias Harris. I hate what it might cost to get him. because I think Tobias Harris at the end of the day is a consistent player. Now, I know he didn't show it in the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of donuts this past playoffs, but Tobias Harris throughout his career has been a very good basketball player. He's been a guy that can get you 15 and 7. I'm not surprised by this reporting. This has been a reporting like dating all the way back to this past February. The Pistons front office really is targeting in on Tobias Harris, Miles Bridges. Don't be surprised if they try to make a run at OG Anunoby. There's interest there. But it sounds like from what Shams is saying, Tobias Harris is going to be the guy that the Pistons will go after because it seems like a more realistic option for them.
Anthony, I really like the OG, just because how solid he is defensively and he can't spread the floor. What do you think the chances are that he actually becomes a Piston? Do you think it's more likely compared to the other players that are out there? Because I feel like OG is a guy that any team could use.
They could pay him too. They could pay him.
I think if you really want to make the Knicks sweat, you have to offer OG a 4-year max, because that's the only way you're going to make them sweat, because they want to re-sign Isaiah Hartenstein. They want to re-sign OG Anunoby. They gave up a lot to get OG Anunoby. Now, if you're the Pistons and you feel OG Anunoby is that type of guy that you could pair next to Asar and Kate Cunningham, then you do it. You throw him that 4-year max and make the Knicks sweat. Don't do them any more favors. Make them sweat the way that they've been making Pistons fans just pissed off for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think there's a part of it too where, people, we look at numbers and we dictate good contract, bad contract, but we have to factor in what the Pistons are and where they are as an organization. Like, you're going to have to pay more money to some of these free agents than you typically would, or another team would that's in a better situation. That's just what comes with the territory. So I don't have a problem giving OG whatever he wants, because I know what he can provide immediately, defensively, offensively. And dude's he was almost 50-40 from just the field and from three. So, and what he can do defensively. So I'm open to any more names out there. I know Gary Trent Jr. we've talked about. Any other names that Pistons fans should look forward to, at least keep in mind come free agency that are on your list?
I would keep an eye on Gary Harris, former Michigan State alum. If you strike out on Gary Trent, you just strike out on the shooting guard free agency market. Gary Trent could be a very cheap, sneaky option. I would keep an eye on Mitchell Robinson as a possible trade partner for the Pistons, because it sounds like he's not too happy with his playing time there. It's a rim protector, a lob threat. That's a guy that I would keep an eye out. I do, if you don't mind, there's one coach that I actually heard in passing that the Pistons might interview. You guys ready?
Who is this?
Yeah.
David Yeager.
Oh, really?
Former Memphis Grizzlies head coach.
I do remember it.
I honestly, I know he wasn't the greatest, but he wasn't the worst either. It's a guy that at least defensively can give you something.
What are your thoughts on that, Anthony? David, yeah, I know. I remember him with the Kings. What's some background info on him?
He's just a underrated coach. I don't really think he got a lot of fair shots of where he was with current teams. I think he's a coach that I wouldn't be surprised if he at least got an interview. We just got our first round of interviews. I don't expect them to hire a coach until at least July. I really do. I don't see them hiring a coach by the draft. I think it'll be more July. But in terms of Yeager, I like the defensive strategy that he brings to the table. I like that he has experience of building with older teams. If you want to look up the grit and grind Grizzlies with Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, Mike Conley,
I love those teams. You don't know that those were because those are always that 1-2 seed that would just give you hell. They would never upset anybody, but they just gave him hell. Mike Conley, Pau Gasol, who else? They had Tony Allen, dogs over there.
Grit and grind.
Gritty. Yeah, those were some gritty teams.
Well, Tom mentioned grit in the press conference, huh? Come on, a little bit of grit. It must be just spread around the city, just grit. So you never know.
Late about meetings and hugs?
Yeah, I mean, 4 a.m. meetings, hugging. I hear you. Whatever they got to do. I see this Kryptonic TV. I like Sam Cassell too. I think he's kind of the guy that can pull scoring out of these dipshits. Well, it's a little aggressive, but what do you think about that, Anthony? Sam Cassell, because Corey shout out to Corey Woods, by the way. He mentioned that as well as a possible kind of sleeper, someone to look out for.
From what I've heard, the Pistons haven't even contacted Sam Cassell yet. So I don't know if it's because JJ Redick was rumored to bring him to LA. I don't know if maybe Sam Cassell isn't interested in the Detroit Pistons, because I think a lot of times when we talk about coaches, we kind of compile a list, but the coach has to be interested to want to come here.
It's fair.
He just won an NBA championship with Boston. Does he go to the Lakers and help JJ Redick in his first year of coaching? We're gonna have to wait and see. But I think Sam Cassell is a name. If you're a Piston fan, maybe it's kind of like a pipe dream at this point, but he's definitely a guy that if you talk about Cade Cunningham, Sam Cassell could help Cade Cunningham out so much, man. During his heyday, he was just a dog as a player. And, he's seen some of the best guards out there. I mean, he's seen John Wall. He's seen Russell Westbrook. He's seen a lot of these top-tier guards in the NBA, and I think he could really help Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I would not be mad at Sam Cassell. He's well respected, knows what it takes, and like you said, worked with a lot of great guards. Great stuff, Anthony. We'll have you back if you're free. I know you got something planned probably Wednesday on your channel, which you guys can check out at Pistons Talk on YouTube and Pistons Talk across all social media platforms. But I'll see you soon, my friend. I appreciate you taking the time today.
Shout out. Appreciate you, Anthony.
There you go, Mr. Anthony Colombo, Pistons Talk. You can check him out, like I said, on his YouTube, which, he invites me on. And I do appreciate him for that. We have a lot of fun. We just did we recorded something last week, alternating picks, whole entire lottery of the NBA draft we went through. So check that out on his channel. But what he said there, Dave Yeager, I mean, I didn't expect the Dave Yeager bomb, if I'm being honest.
Hey, that was like in 2K, I always use the Grizzlies. I would lock them down, lock them down. Thabo Sefolosha.
No, don't.
They had Tayshaun for a little bit
years. Coaching was not bad. It was not bad. Defensive-minded guy, but I don't hate it. Not my first choice, not my last choice.
I think, did he have rookie Isaiah Thomas when he was in Sacramento?
That was, what year was that? Because Isaiah was, let me see. He was in Sacramento. Let me check real quick. I got it right here. He was in Sacramento 2016. I don't know. I think no, I don't think so. I think Isaiah was there. Let me see. Now I'm curious. Now I gotta look. He was in Sacramento in 20. Yeah, right before he left, and then Dave got there a couple years later. So yeah, I was just making sure there. But the coach walks says Lucas is a mime. Yeah, you're frozen.
Am I frozen on your end, or is it just super glitchy?
I can hear you perfectly. You're just frozen. You look like a meat from SpongeBob.
What sucks about it is it's such a nice camera. It's just my Wi-Fi, bro.
Yeah, it's not his camera.
Can't wait till we get in the studio. These will be the dog days. We'll look back on these and laugh. Get through it. Power through it.
Got to. Yeah. You just have to. Got to fight through it. When I put that solo cam on, just unlagged, so I'll take that. But I want to get into a little bit of the NBA draft because and we'll talk some free agency here because I saw that Zachary Risacher was mocked to go number 1 and Alex Starr going number 2. That seems like, at least at this point, is more likely. So it's going to put the Pistons in an interesting position. And if I'm being honest with you guys, and I'll say this right now, because come Wednesday, it's going to be reiterated. The Pistons are going to probably trade back in this draft. I think they're going to trade back. This draft is looked at as, quite frankly, a mediocre draft, which I don't agree with. And I think you guys can see where I'm coming from with this. Every year, there's always a couple guys from every draft that come out and you say, well, how did this guy went 15? This guy went 20. This guy went 17. It's probably going to happen in this year's draft as well. So the Pistons are at 5. I think they could trade back to closer to the top 10 and still get a good player. I know I see some people talking about Dalton Connect and a possible trade down. That would probably be the better route. I think he'll be there, considering what Anthony just said and how there's players that their stocks are rising. There's going to be guys going higher than people initially thought. So Dalton Connect, I'm okay with. I think at least right now, if I had to give you some guys that I'm zeroed in on, Zachary Risacher is probably going number 1. So he's realistically, he's probably not going to happen. I'll go Cody Williams because I like Cody a lot. I think, that 3 and Ds, you can never have enough of them. Another player Dalton Connect, I'll bring up. I don't mind that player as well. My focus, at least in my mind, for Trajan Langdon, it should be getting a wing. You need a 3 or a 4, someone that can, again, guard multiple positions, of course, and you're probably going to address it in free agency. But Dalton Connect, even though I'm not opposed to getting a guy whose floor is high but ceiling's not as high, I'm cool with that because the NBA, you can get guys that come right in and contribute. It's not a problem. But at Dalton Connect's best, where does he play? Is he starting for you? Is he starting at the 2? Starting at the 3? He's probably at best.
Would it be a 3?
No, he can't play defense. He's probably coming off the bench for you and being a good player. But, is that who you're walking? Because you guys got to think about this from Trajan Langdon's perspective. If I'm Trajan Langdon, my first draft in Detroit. Remember Troy Weaver's first draft? Killian Hayes. Now, Isaiah Stewart.
That was jersey worthy. That was jersey worthy.
I know. But the first draft, even now, people still mention that pick because of why? Killian Hayes he's cut, and the guy who went right behind him is one of the best point guards in the league. So from Trajan's perspective, this draft is important. I mean, it's not the same situation because you needed to hit on that Killian Hayes pick, but you still need to hit on this pick despite having Jaden Ivey, Cade, Jalen Duren. So you still need to hit on this pick, and you still got to get a really good contributor, starter, expectedly. And Dalton Connect is a pick that I don't hate at all. I'm okay with it, but I don't think it's a pick I'm walking away from the draft like, oh yeah, yeah. Like,
who's walking into a worse situation, Trajan or Troy?
Oh, Troy. Yeah, absolutely.
Think so? Just because the cap situation?
Oh, yeah. Because Troy had to clear out a lot of garbage, and he had to clear up cap and get talent, and Trajan has some talent, and he has a bunch of money. So, like, it's a little – not great either one, by the way. Like, Trajan has the worst team in basketball, but at least you have Cade and you have a lot of money, so a little better. I see Detroit supremacy. Nope. Edie is Jokic/Hakeem. I know you're trolling. I mean,
he has been glazing. He has been glazing Zach Edey.
Zach Edey is someone to me that I think he'll go top 15. That's someone that me and Anthony had this discussion on his pod when we were doing this. I think I had Zach Edey like 13, 14. Because I think he's someone that's going to sneak in because there was video of him at the combine hitting tray balls. And I'm like, okay. 7'3",
got a strap to him.
Little bit. Little bit. That's why I think he'll go in the lottery. But for the Pistons, I don't know. At 5, maybe they trade back up, like 10 picks. I'd be okay with it. True Tell us says people only like Cody Williams because of his success of his brother, not his actual skill, which doesn't say top 5. Here's the thing. I don't know if Cody Williams will go top 5. I know Anthony's more higher on him than I am. I think Cody Williams is day one, a good defender. He is, I think, a decent to good shooter. He didn't shoot a lot of threes, though. That's the thing with Cody. I think he had like 3 attempts. He was like 1.5 for 3 or, 3 attempts, whatever it was. It wasn't a lot of attempts. And to Case's point here, Cody's slim. But he's
Jalen's a big boy.
He's a wing. I get the there's always that where someone's brother's really good and that always boosts their stock a little bit. But I think Cody Williams is a good player though. I would take him top 10. Certainly. Yeah.
Is he somebody that you think fits what the team needs as far as spreading the floor? Okay. Who do you think the best fit is? Take pick out of it. Like say the Pistons are like, we need to go up to 2 to get X because we need to go up to 1 to get X because he just fits what we need to do.
I think Zachary Risache does. I think he fits because of his 3-point shooting and his size, ability, the upside. Like I like what he can do.
He would take a little bit of time though.
Overseas players are a little unpredictable. Some of them, he could come and be really good right away. So, but I would say Zachary, but he's unrealistic. But if you're talking about in general, there are a couple players that fit. Like there's a lot of fits. Like Dalton Connect fits. They need shooting. So I'm not saying he doesn't.
To what impact?
Yeah, like
they need everything.
Yeah, like defensively, he's not good at all. Athletic, he's very athletic. Maybe there's a little upside there. Maybe he can be a better defender, but he's not going to be great at all. That's not who he is as a player. But he could shoot. He could score. Like I wouldn't hate Dalton. I would not. I'm not saying I hate the pick at all. I think Dalton's like 6'6", so maybe he could play some 3 for you in some lineups, but
Can I ask you something? I know this is completely off topic as far as the draft, though.
What's up?
Why? And I get because by default he makes the team better, but why Tobias Harris? When I hear that, I want to vomit. Like there's that. That's like the Marcus Davenport signing to me. Like when I see it, I'm just like, oh my!
It's
he's a skilled player, but like really,
not a bad comp. Not a bad comp. I don't hate the Davenport. Davenport's injured, but I get what you're saying. It's like on paper, you're like, it's Tobias Harris. Like it's Davenport.
It fits the need. Like, you know what I mean? Like
it fits the need. Yeah, Tobias fits a need on paper. The thing I do question about him is with the 76ers, he was a third option, and there's games where he just did not show up. So now you're asking him to take on more responsibility and expect what? That's again, given the money you're assumingly going to pay him.
Yeah, that's where if he's coming to Detroit, he's going to be getting a bag. Like I don't think he comes here for because he could go to a couple places.
You tell me I get Tobias Harris, I'm going to ask you what number do I get him at? I'm going to ask that. If you say 20, 25, whatever, I'm like, sheesh.
Like no way. Maybe 3 years ago, like when he signed in Philly, maybe.
He was making like 30. Yeah. I mean, now he's shown. On paper, great. 6'8", 6'9", can shoot the three. Not a bad defender. He can score. But it's not someone that, Tobias Harris, does he make you better? Yeah, of course. I mean, Gary Trent Jr. will make you better. Anybody will make you better.
But I like Gary Trent Jr.
I'm with you there.
Scrappy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Could shoot too.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler says Pistons need to ship assets and trade for teams' third and fourth options that have expiring deals. That's something that Trajan actually talked about as well. Trying to get some contracts, not bad contracts that aren't completely terrible, but contracts that are not great and ending soon, like maybe like a year left. That's what some teams do. Troy did that, and then their contracts would expire, and they have money, and then he was fired. So it didn't work out well for him, but hey, it is what it is. We got about 15 minutes here left. I want to get to mailbag in a little bit here because I kind of enjoy the early mailbag, get to the people's thoughts. I mean, we usually when we have the boys on, we take up most of the time anyway. So, might as well
smooth
give
Monday
back to the
show
people.
though. Get the ball rolling. Do we get Boom back tomorrow or Wednesday?
Tomorrow. They'll be back.
Oh yeah.
Case Crack says Tobias for the right price and years is fine. Not sexy, but the dude can play and fill a void. We need players that can help elevate Cade, their actual NBA talent. Well, that's a great point. And everything he said, I agree with. Right price, right amount of the length on the contract. Again, not the savior, but at the same time, fills a need. It fills a need. Tro Cox. I'd be impressed if Trajan. By the way, you got to change it to what's his name? Ryan Gray or Noah Gray? What's his name?
Logan Gray or Logan Gray. Yeah.
Yeah, Logan Gray. That's the actual quarterback.
Get your merch. Get your Logan Gray merch.
Yep, get your merch.
We're at week one. Boo the kids. Wear the game. Support crunch
good.
time. Very fine merch.
Yeah, get your merch. Buy for your kids. Buy for your wife. Buy for your grandma. Buy for everyone.
We got to come up with different ideas too. Week one, there's so many merch opportunities we can come up with.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we gotta. Yeah, well, no, we can save it. Actually, we can save it. We'll do the start bench cut thing another day because we got some more we can get to here.
Well, we can say. Right. I want to hear Boone on a couple of these.
Yeah, I will save it because that'll be fun with Boone. Dad with Tourette's max offer quickly to keep Raptors from matching. Maybe trade for Michael Porter Jr. Run out quickly. Cade, Asar, Michael Porter Jr. Duran. That's a playoff team. You know what?
Yeah.
Quickly, I'm not like Quickly is a good player. I'm more with you on Michael Porter Jr. Fun. You know what's funny? Michael Porter Jr. when he was coming out, he played. Dude, I don't have as much time for it now because now we're all a year. But when I was in high school, in college too, I would just watch high school highlights. I don't know if you did this too.
Yeah.
Like I would watch up and coming players, and Michael Porter was one of my favorite players to watch. Like I would watch his mixtapes all the time. The dude was Kevin Durant. Like that's what he was. Like just a 6'10" walking bucket. And when he came out, I wanted the Pistons traded that pick that they had away for Blake Griffin, and he fell to where the Pistons were picking.
Yeah, say he fell like to the middle of the draft.
Because of the back, because of he had a back injury that he had surgery on. Back surgery is it's a whole nother thing. But he fell, and the Nuggets they took him in the middle. I think I don't know if he was in the lottery. I don't know if he was 15, maybe 16. He was around there. Yeah, and look at him now. I mean, he's a great player. He fits exactly what the Pistons need. He can shoot the hell out of the ball. I would love Michael Porter Jr. I mean, true teller. MPJ was Durant until the back injury. Yeah, he was. Gosh. I mean, he's a really good role player, but man, in like a bad situation, like if he didn't have Jokic and Jamal and all these guys, he's a bucket.
You think he could excel the score?
Yeah.
Like, do you think if he was in his own situation, he'd get you like 20 a night?
Oh yeah. Yep. Detroit Supremacy. I wanted SGA that year, but we traded it. See, there's another player too. Yeah, that's always then you have Blake Griffin, which I do respect Blake, but man, you win all in for mid. I mean, that's which like it is looking back, it is the best years we've had the last decade.
He gave you hope, kind of. They make the offs.
Yeah, it was like
maybe not win a game.
Yeah. I don't know if to True Teller's point. I don't know. He says I don't think MPJ is available. I don't know either. Life of Chris says perfect offseason for the Pistons. Yeah, I will say this. Perfect offseason, if I had to tell you guys an ideal summer for the Pistons, I would say, the draft is a little more subjective. I don't want to say this player would be a perfect draft because like there's a handful, but players we've been discussing today, walk out with any of the handful of players we discussed. I'm okay with that. Now, in terms of a free agency period, you go and sign OG Anunoby, in my opinion. You get a Gary Trent Jr. You get some pros in here that come from situations like OG in New York, was just competing in the playoffs. I think, and he's played on I think he won a championship with the Raptors as well. So there's OG with more of a background. So OG would be a great signing to me. The price we can get into another day, but the player, I'm absolutely on board. And then head coach, I would say personally, Chris Quinn would be like my fist bump. We got it. But James Borrego, I don't hate it, but I would say Chris Quinn, OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr., and whoever you want at 5. If you want to see Dalton Connect, cool. If you want to say Cody Williams and trade back, get him, cool. Someone falls, cool. I mean, there's a couple guys. As long as they don't botch it, which, it's going to be hard to do that. But that's my perfect offseason. And I think that team could go out and win 30 games, 30-something games, and just say, hey, we showed improvement. 30 games would be fine. And then, now we're talking about a team that's starting to get back to what they were. Sam Cassell, I would be okay with as well. For that's another guy that I've been liking more and more lately. No doubt. Logan Gray says, Jeff, you look like that dude. Who's that dude?
Oh no,
I want to. Oh, Logan Gray.
Maybe Logan Gray.
Oh fuck.
Oh, here come the fade. Now you get the fade comparisons.
Now you're Rabbit.
It's not me. That's you now. You're Rabbit.
No, he's
I'll
white.
be.
You're white. You're really white. Now you Rabbit.
Nah, we're on Big Low Cuz. You Rabbit. You Rabbit.
No, wow.
Hey, don't make me bring up the pickup game.
Jeez. You just need to get like a why am I messing? Not like what would you call that? Like a sweatshirt, I guess, or like the little jacket with the zip up.
What are you talking about?
Why am I blanking? The fucking jacket, the little zip up jacket. It's like
a hoodie over quarter zip.
No, not a quarter zip. You don't know what I'm talking about? It's like basically a hoodie with the zipper. Like it's like
this is a zip up hoodie. Or a jacket.
Yeah. Fuck it. That's what Eminem, he wore in the movie. The little jacket he had like
the zip up hoodie. It's all right. Yeah. It's all right.
You're doing this all the time.
It's okay. It's all right, Rabbit.
I'll be Cheddar Bob. I'll be Cheddar Bob.
You don't even know what a Cheddar Bob is. I don't even know what Cheddar Bob is.
I won't shoot myself though with my own gun. I'll tell you that. I ain't shooting. I'm not doing that. Case cracked. I don't want to get a first-year head coach. Borrego is good age and experience, plus has been in a rebuild situation. And you know what? That's a good point. That's why I said I wouldn't be upset with it. The thing I always talk about when we talk about coaches, and I said this today, the reason why I'm more on board with a fresh face, someone that hasn't been a coach already, is because, and I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit, but I'm just being honest with you. There is more risk, but there's more reward because you get someone that's been it's untapped potential. That's how I always think with some guys. Like when you get someone that's already been a coach, it's like,
Ben Johnson.
That's how I feel across sports in general. That's why I always like OCs and NFL bringing OC in. I like that Bobby Slowick, Ben Johnson. It's always next up. Who's next?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Borrego. Like Borrego would be who's like an NFL compared. Who is a coach that was a part of a bad situation, didn't do great, got fired? Just a guy who's but he was a part of. He was a good guy on paper before that.
I would say Mike Vrabel. I feel like Mike Vrabel's just like a man's man.
You know what? He part of the Patriots. He was with the Spurs. Spurs won. Patriots won.
Okay. All right.
As a player, but he was a coach. I don't, there's like that where it's, But I would love Vrabel though if the Lions didn't have a head coach. So I guess that's
Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell won a bowl with Peyton. Went 9-8. Got out of there.
Yeah, you know what? That's not bad. But then some would say he underachieved. Some would say Borrego overachieved.
Okay.
Do you agree with that? The Jim Caldwell when he was in Detroit?
I thought he achieved. I don't think he did either. I just thought he did his job.
Yeah.
Not to a high level, not to a low level.
Yeah, there's a line. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. That's a whole.
He was a Paul Richardson face mask penalty away from winning a playoff game.
Nap God says, Mailbag, have you guys heard of the Easy Expressway?
Oh, God. Thank God Boone's not here. Easy will run with that, dude. That's the worst part. That'll be bad. That'll be a battle. Hey. That'll be a battle.
Here's the thing we got to take into consideration, okay? People, now that Booner's not here, I can just say this, and I know Booner, you're probably listening. People are going to copy the Booner path.
Yeah.
I'll just respond. Who did it first? You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you can. It's like they can do it all they want. I don't think Booner should get upset about it. It's like, yeah, do it. Cool.
It's a form of flattery. He just Boone doesn't play about the path.
It's like you're in the rap game. Hey, you're a rapper. Someone takes your flow. Sometimes they do better with
Rabbit. You're Rabbit. There you go. No. You're Rabbit.
Hey, well, I'm just saying. Hey, it's a compliment. You can have it. You won't be as successful as the Booner Path, but you can have it.
Max.
Easy Expressway is kind of catchy though. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it ain't the Booner Path. It's like what was the someone said something, the Iafrate for the Pistons.
I feel like the only thing you could say is like the interstate or something like that.
Iafrate's interstate. Yeah, we're not doing this. Booner's probably listening like
he's probably in New York. He's probably in the middle of Central Park right now trying to can't get a fucking signal. Stop talking about the path. Stop talking about the path.
Iafrate intersection. Yeah, no, we're not doing this. Oh, that's funny. I can't. We can't do Booner like that. Booner path for life. Get your merchandise.
Over under on how many times you think he said I'm walking here?
I'm walking here. I would say over.
How many times do you think Booner has said that?
7.5 over under. I'll go over.
Oh, that bar is too low. How many I'm walking here like whoever I get he's definitely done it. That's at my line's at 15.5.
Wow.
I'll double yours.
Wow. Yeah, Booner. We need some Booner drops. He has a lot of moments on this show, man. Holy shit. If you're gonna talk, keep talking. If you want to talk, keep talking. And he always says that to you.
And you're like, do I you're like not even talking.
We want me to talk or what are we doing here?
It's his moment.
Adam says, I'm not a fan of the Jeff Buzz. Yeah, you know what? Well,
Adam, we don't need to talk about haircuts, pal. We do not need to do that. We do not need to do that. I'll defend Jeff's cut on this one. It's a very fine cut, Jeff.
Hey, Adam technically can't even have there's actual idiots out there that think because he has a wrench in our chat, he works for us. Can you imagine that? Like some
based
clown,
on the people that are saying that, absolutely.
Some clown somewhere sitting there. He's got a wrench. He must work for them. He's not supposed to be working. Come on, guys. Adam doesn't work for us. Get your head out of your ass. All right. Guy just we gave him the wrench, just like we give a lot of people our wrench. And if you don't understand what I'm saying there, take it for how you will. All right, some douchebag with a terrible haircut who has a lot of money.
Suck a baby.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about here. But hey, we got about 10 minutes left. We could spend the last 10 minutes just talking about that, but we'll move on here. Dad Tourette says Cat or MPJ are perfect fits. Cat, you know what? I'm gonna push back on that. I don't know. Cat moving to the 4. That experiment, it's been interesting. It like kind of worked until it didn't. I don't. But here in Detroit, he would play 4. But I don't like Cat. You hate corniness, right? You're not a Caleb Williams guy. You ain't gonna like Cat.
Cat. Would you rather have, if you're the Timberwolves, not the Pistons, would you rather have Gobert or Cat?
Would I rather have who?
Gobert or Cat? If you're the Timberwolves.
I'll go Cat.
Yeah,
I'm not a big Gobert. I think Gobert's really good defensively, but they were good without Gobert too. One game they had a game where they just were really good.
Nas Reed would be a great. That would be a great. I mean, the Timberwolves are letting him go, but that'd be a great trade for the Pistons. Bring Nas home. I'm all for that. He had so many would have been moments. Like if the Timberwolves won that series, he had so many moments in that series, the Western Conference.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong there. I see people agreeing with the Cat thing. They said Gobert can't be moved. His contract is worse. Yeah, his contract is awful.
Yeah, I think it's brutal.
Life with Chris is all serious. I'm so happy for y'all's success as y'all reaching 7K this fast. And what are some things y'all really want to do to take it to the next level? Chris, man, I appreciate you, brother, man. That actually means a lot to us. Seriously, for you guys. Mm-hmm. And just honestly, like I say this every time we do a show, but it's fucking June 24th. It's a Monday. Game 7 is on, and you guys are tuning into our. And whether you have it both on at the same time or not, I think you should have both on. But we do appreciate your guys' support. It's everything. We're at almost 8,000. We're about 200 away from 8,000.
Yeah, we're 2,200 away from 10K. We're gonna hit it before the season starts. Like when training camp and preseason starts, there'll be people tuned in. And like the 99, 100 people that are in here right now, we'll remember.
Get it trending. 10K for opening day. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
10K for opening day. Before this Lions play the Rams, we want to be at 10K. Steve says, get Lucas some Wi-Fi. Lucas, we got the hotspot. What's going on with the hotspot? All right, break it down.
We got to get the phone plan switched over. So that's a whole nother process.
Oh, the phone?
Yeah, because it's got to go on a whole different plan. I got to put the phone and that on the same plan. So that's what we're working on right now. Because usually because my brother.
We send you the difference?
Yeah, no, we can do that, but I have to pay off. Like, I don't even know what it's from, but to do it, I have to pay off like a certain amount of money. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like, I can do it, but it's just like, not right now. Like, it's just like another, like, ugh.
Yeah.
And bro, I'm getting hoed by taxes. I'm not even gonna lie. Taxes are fucking me up this year. So I'm like, gotta fit it in the budget.
From the other place?
Yeah. Because I gotta pay Ohio and Michigan. Because I remember I lived in Ohio for like the first part when I started working there, and then I moved up the wazoo. Not up the wazoo.
By the way,
definitely not ideal.
1099s, man. Paying that taxes.
Learning experience, Jeff. Learning experience.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy we got this now.
I looked at my first year I was there. Like I looked at what I
swear to God.
And my mom's she's a realtor, so she's dealt with that her whole career, paying taxes. But I always was used to getting money back. And I'm like, what I get back? It's like, no, motherfucker, you owe us. And I'm like, oh shit. And I need to give you this by what? Damn. It's tough. Shout out to all the people out there that pay their own taxes. You guys are very, I respect you. Not that I don't respect people who don't do 1099s, but 1099s are a whole nother. Yeah. Steven says, got to put a quarter of your income away. Literally. I mean, yeah.
Facts. Learning life on the go.
You think we did that though?
Nope. Yeah. Nope. Not a chance.
Life with Chris, about to start my channel soon. What advice would you give me starting off? You know what? Let's take this. We don't have too many of these questions. Chris, I got you. All right. For the boys and Lucas, tell me if I'm off on this. Number one, find your lane. What do you like talking about the most? Is it football? Is it basketball? I would say this. This goes for anybody out there trying to start a new channel. That football, in terms of marketability, obviously is better. But if you're good at basketball and you love basketball and you love the game, then yeah, chase it and work at it, improve. I mean, I've been doing this for 5-6 years. So I have a lot of reps of talking, and I noticed the more I've done it, the better I've got. It's with anything. It's like shooting a basketball. The more you do it, the more you learn certain aspects. Okay, this comes, you get comfortable and then you settle in. Like now I'm at a point now where I can talk by myself really for 2 when Lukas when he joined our old company to now, like Lukas has gotten significantly better. Same with Booner. It just comes with more reps. So I would say just be consistent, work your ass off, get in front of the camera. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. You have to make mistakes. It just comes with it. I've messed up and done things. I know people that have been watching me for a while know that. And just bust your ass, man. You got to do the prep. Like be creative, talk about different things, different angles. Some people I think will make channels and it'll be like Jared Goff signs contract, and they'll sit in front of the camera and be like, Jared Goff has signed a contract of 2 years for 40, 2 years, $100 million. And the Lions are going to get on that thing and be like, Jared Goff shouldn't be paid that. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, get out there. Oh, not that I'm saying I say that, but whatever your opinion is, take it a different angle, man, and be yourself. Be authentically yourself. All right. And self-teach. I mean, I self-taught myself Photoshop, Premiere, Adobe programs. Lukas is great at editing. He taught himself pretty much everything as well. But Lukas, anything I missed? Anything you give advice to?
I mean, I would say, at least for me, and I know I'm sure that some other people would probably have the same thing too, is like when I first started saying like, oh, I'm making content, I'm doing YouTube, like you're going to feel like some type of self-consciousness about it where you're going to be like, ooh, it kind of feels like you just got to fucking do it and not care about what anybody says. Like you see in the comments, obviously we love you guys, but people, they push back. Like if we say something like Detroit supremacy right here, Lukas has gotten better, we forgave him for his Laporta will be a bust take. I never said Laporta would be a bust. Instead, I said the exact opposite. But just things like this, you can't let it get to you because there's always going to be people that are seeing what they want to be doing. They're just too scared to do it. So be proud of yourself for taking that jump and being like, you know what? Before I die, I want to do X. And you're decided making that life decision and doing what you want to do. So be proud of it, own it. And then if anybody makes fun of you, who cares? It's not part of what they want to do in life. If they're judging you, they're probably just insecure themselves. So just do what you're doing, do what you want to do, and work hard at it. Because if you're doing what you want to do and you work hard, success will come. If you say you want to work hard and then you don't actually work hard and then what you want to do fails, well, that's when you start getting insecure about things. If you just work hard at it, regardless of the time frame, good things will happen.
Yeah, you got to have pride.
Where, like, honestly, like before I started working at our old place, like I was just making TikTok videos in the same spot and I was just making about NFL news. And then I kept doing it for like a year and a half. And if I didn't do that, I would have never met Jeff. I would have never met Booner. I would have met Gentry. And then we would have never had this. So just keep doing what you want to do and work at it and it'll work itself out.
Yeah, life just has a way of lifing. I mean, but when I graduated, when I got done and at first I want to be on the radio. I wanted to do normal broadcasts and Jeff Iafrate in the morning in Country 96.4 FM, whatever. Like then I learned, maybe I don't want to do this. I interned at 101 The Riff, and I decided I want to talk sports. And I never say no either. If you get opportunities, never say no, unless it's just an awful no-win situation. But I had a buddy, shout out to Luke Hammett, who hosted just basically it was like a political radio station, but there was like an open mic on Saturdays, and he's like, I just talk sports and for 2 hours. He's like, you want to come through? I'd be like, yeah, and I would just talk sport. I have some clips. It's so bad. Like I so bad. But I never missed it. Every Saturday I'd show up, we'd talk sports, but that was like the start of like reps, like just talking. And then I got to Woodward, and the rest is history. I mean, you just bust your ass, man. Just like we continue to do here. And you people support it. You guys, if without your audience, man, that's really what it comes down to. Without the people, without the support, you are nothing. I mean, it just is what it is. And we always try to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. If there's a viral moment, we're there, we're prepped, we're ready to go. Even in June, late June. That's why we're just ready to get to the season, so we can just fucking.
I can't wait, man.
Perfect
timing.
The juice.
Lions peaking. We're starting our channel.
This is the time to build your audience and build a community. Build a community. yeah, we're gonna get to the season and have that community. I see Jeb with Tourette's. Jeff, you were on 96.9. That was just like a joke. I interned at 101 The Riff. I interned at 105.1 The Bounce. I did some events. I worked in promotions. Yeah, it was
The Bounce.
Yeah, I was with a couple people, some other interns, and I worked there. I was doing like just the basics, but I never said no to work. I mean, if I was handing out flyers, I was like, cool. Like I did. A lot of people walk in, and I noticed this at Woodward, like entitlement. Yeah, I don't know. You probably saw this, Lucas, where it's like, I want to be on air. It's like, hold on, buddy.
Yeah.
I wasn't just on air. I mean, I had to earn that shit, just like everybody does. You got to eat some dirt once in a while. You know what I mean? I was cool. I was handing out flyers, having a blast. I'm like, hey, cool. Hey. Networking. And look at you, Lucas. You started out social media, and look at you now. I mean, you're great at social media, but you're great at, now you're talking ball, doing everything. All right. Well, great show today. Appreciate you, Lukas Klotz, hanging with me today, holding it down. It's a great show. Until tomorrow, Booner will be back in the fold. Look at that. Oh, nah. See, my hair sticks up, dude. Look at it. It like sticks up, so it's like I'm balding.
I just let it grow a little bit. Got to let it thicken out a little bit short. It's been growing, but on those fucking Fabio haircut.
Yeah, I don't have to do no more.
Guys, I actually think Jared Goff deserves the money, but Hendon Hooker, watch out for Hendon Hooker.
Oh, wasn't that? That's zesty. It's too zesty. Tyler says $5 for each of my boys.
Shout out.
Hey, Tyler, we appreciate you, brother, man. And to Tyler and all of you in the chat, much love to you guys for tuning in to us. Until tomorrow, when Booner's back, we'll catch you. Stay blessed out there. Get your shirts, by the way. Logan Gray, the GOAT, official CT Sports.
Get your fucking merch. Get your merch. Week 1. Get it.
See ya.